one. They don't have that one on the audience right now. I don't know why.
Put the split screen on it.
9 o'clock, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. First order is approve the minutes of Monday, June 20th, 2022.
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Don's moved.
All second.
Tim second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
I'll abstain, just
abstain.
because I wasn't here.
Sorry, you was gone.
Yeah.
4-0. 4-1. That concludes our book. I guess we'll run into Kansas Legal Services, Ty Wheeler. Sir? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I thought I
Sorry
was.
about that.
Before it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Housing Authority, Rhonda, please.
That would make no difference.
That was right underneath and I didn't catch
No
it.
problem. I kind of shade.
What's wrong with this?
I don't know.
What's right with it?
Yeah.
Pat Gold.
That's been on several people's radars
Yes,
for
it
several,
has.
many years.
And finally, Jeremy Huguenin was able to get a hold of that. It's 615 South 9th, or, well, let me make sure that's right. She's got a couple days, or, yeah. Anyway, they have been able to acquire that, and so there was 2 trailer houses there, and one was pulled away and got off the property, and then Mike Smith is going to take down the other one because, of course, it cannot be pulled out. They are gonna see what the zoning will let them kind of do there. They'd like to do something, possibly in the future, so.
So the city bought this?
No,
property?
Jeremy Huguenin.
Oh, Jeremy.
But they're gonna check with the zoning at the city and see what they could do, like maybe put something there, so. And they're kind of looking,
Mhm.
yeah.
Was
just
there
from
a house or a garage immediately behind this way?
It's kind of just a little junk,
Collector.
yeah.
Still back behind.
Yeah, kind of back there, so the whole thing is pretty bad.
Since my son owns it, do I abstain, or it's up to you?
Suppose you could if you wanted
I
to.
mean, it's in my district too, but
Right.
I know, the only thing I'd say is that's been on the radar to be gone for many, many, many years. I couldn't count how many years.
It's very bad.
Very bad.
Okay, that's not the front of it, is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the front door's right there.
Yeah, it's got the stuff laying up against it.
Well, he's done a little bit of demoing himself, just off and on, so.
Also
Okay.
move that we waive landfill fees on the structure 615 South 9th here in Burlington.
All second.
Been moved and seconded to waive the landfill fees at the location stated, 615
South 9th.
South 9th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstain?
Abstain, just because.
Okay, my next one is for Steve Cox, 1821 Main Street. This went on a sheriff's sale or county sale, whatever you want to call it. And this has finally gotten through the system and everything. He's going to have Randy Graybill take it down. He tried to fix it up, but he said there was just too much damage inside. He'd like to have this vacant lot so they could build something on there, so.
This is in Leroy.
Leroy, yeah.
And his plans is to put something back.
Yes.
Does this include the garage that's about to fall in also?
Yeah, we'll just take it all, yeah. Yeah, take it all down. Mhm.
There is 2 separate structures, but there's not much to the garage.
Right. But I think he'll just clean it all up since it's not.
Tree went through the roof a few years ago. Nobody's lived in it now since Doug Garrett did, that I'm aware of,
I don't
for
think so.
probably 7, 8, 9, 10
Right.
years. Also, we waive the landfills on the structure, 1821 Main Street, Leroy.
All second.
Don's moved, Tim second, waive landfill fees, 1821 Main Street, Leroy. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
You want your pictures back?
That was you.
Here's some of them.
There you go.
We need to do that tax
Yeah,
abatement now.
let's do that and get that out of the way.
We're getting a tax abatement handed around right now. Move to authorize director chairman to sign one tax abatement in the amount of $36.82.
For what?
Oh, it's in Jesse's folder, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Comment is move $1,198 of ag land value and add to parcel R1792. Contacting property soil errors, split error, something about an error.
It's in Lebo.
Yeah, it's in my area.
Sounds like it just took some out of ag and put it into a different classification, so. I guess I so moved.
Would ag be the cheapest anyway?
Yeah, it would be.
If it's the cheapest, how are we rebating if they're moving into a different classification?
Good question.
You want further explanation?
Might be okay to
Yeah.
have him come down.
Unless they're,
Then I'll pull my
because
motion.
even pasture would be ag, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. We wanna roll on, or we wanna
I would
wait?
like to know, if ag is our cheapest, our lowest,
We'll roll on and have him come down and explain it to us.
they'll have an answer, they'll have an answer.
9:05, Kansas Legal Services, Ty Weaver. Again.
Morning, Ty.
All you
Morning.
need.
Okay, thank you.
Morning.
There you go.
Sign.
Sure.
Hi, guys.
Morning, Todd.
I'm Todd Wheeler with Kansas Legal Services out of Emporia. Start out by reminding everybody that we are a statewide not-for-profit law firm. I mean, we operate on the same rules everybody up and down the street in law firms. Same rules James has, same rules anybody has. The problem is we try not to make money or make too much of a profit. Some years we do too good at that. Some years we break even, and that's pretty good. I'm out here to tell you what we did in your county last year. These are 2022 numbers. It should say 22, it says 21, but it should say 22. Our total representations in Coffee County went down some, but that is because for about 5 months, we're not going over to Burlington and doing the city court. Jeremy Dorsey, who was one of my attorneys, quit and went to K-Dad's in Topeka. And it took a while to get back up to speed and get somebody back in here, so we weren't going over there because we just didn't have an attorney time to do it. Now we got that going again, and I'm actually going over now because I sort of like practicing in front of James. He's a fun guy to be around. Last year we did 49 people we helped in your county. 11 of those were civil cases, 35 were appointed, 3 were advised, and 9 were rejected. That 9 is a number I hate. That's the number of people who are qualified for services, fit into a category that we do, met our priorities, and we couldn't take their case because of lack of staff or resources. We did a legal needs assessment about 2 years ago. 85% of the people had a legal need. Less than, I think it was like 70% of those people did not seek advice from an attorney because they didn't think it would help, and they thought it would be too expensive. We're there to be the attorney that, when you can't find another attorney, we're there to help you access the legal justice system. Because if you don't have access to the justice system, you really can't get along. If you need a divorce and you can't afford one, it's expensive. We base our needs on what they're going through. We do not take a case that doesn't involve violence. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to get a divorce because I've got a new boyfriend I want to marry, I'm not helping her out. I'm telling her to go hire somebody. If she comes to me and says, hey, he's hit my kids, okay, I'm involved. We do a lot of protection and abuse orders, PFAs. Those are restraining orders to stop domestic violence. The AG changed the rules for us last year or year before, made it a little easier. We get some what we call VAWA money, Violence Against Women Act, or VOCA, Violence Against Crime Act. And we can now use that money to do more than just the restraining order. We can roll it over into also do the divorce, maybe sit with them through the criminal trial, help them figure out how to fill out a Crime Victims Compensation Act claim. And so I really like that expansion of those powers, but that only counts as one case. If we do 3 things for one person under that one case, used to be it was 3 different cases because we had to find 3 different funding sources. Now it's one case, so that skews our numbers a little bit. Disability cases in Coffee County last year, we no longer do adult disability in Emporia. We ship those to Topeka and to Wichita now because that's where the hearing office is. And they used to do remote hearings where we could appear by video from the Social Security office in Emporia. Then they went to all in person. And I don't know why they did that when COVID broke out, but they did it, and they've continued to do it ever since. Matter of fact, I think there's only one person working in Emporia's $2 million Social Security building. It's ridiculous. We put $169,000 back into our 7 counties through our Children's Disability Project, and that's only winning 6 successful cases. I know that statewide, on our adult project, we earned $700,000 in attorney's fees, and we only collect 20% of their back award. That means we collected over $3.5 million in back awards for clients. That's money we put back into the state. Let's see, what else? The appointed cases, those are for people who can't afford to hire an attorney on a criminal case where they can go to jail. We do that over in Burlington because, quite frankly, Mr. Campbell, James, called and said, hey, I don't have an attorney to come over here and do this. Can you guys come over here and help? He's got Tanya Vinery out of, I think she's out of Linden. Comes down and does some cases. But otherwise, Coffee County is getting to be a lot like every place else, becoming an attorney desert. If you look in Chase County now, there is not a practicing attorney living in Chase County except for the county attorney. Morris County, nobody will take a case. Ever since Judge White went on bench, there's not a person in town willing to take a criminal case. Steve Iverson there was for a while, but he's not there anymore. He's under indictment in Lyon County for some charges. Marion County, same sort of thing, and Coffee County is getting that way too. Anderson County is not far behind. People are aging out, basically. So we try to help people access the justice system that can't afford to get there anyway else, or can't find somebody to help them. We try really hard not to compete with the private bar. If there's somebody that comes into my office and they're telling me they want to get a divorce and they've got a $1 million estate, I'm probably calling one of the local attorneys and saying, hey, I'm going to send somebody down to talk to you. They can afford to pay fees. I got clients that can't. Are there any questions? You've all heard me give the speech a couple times.
34, under your civil cases, you know, you got 6 categories there.
Yeah,
Disability says successful.
yes.
You got divorce, parental, foreclosure, housing. Were those issues settled?
Well, the divorces were finalized.
Okay.
PFAs, I think maybe we had one of those where the judge threw it out. And I think that was because there was a prior domestic case that
I'm
he thought
just
he
curious
could.
if they were closed out or
Yeah,
success.
those,
You know,
there's,
one says successful for what?
we got benefits for the child. And that's important because that means not only do we get cash benefits from family, they get $780 some a month, but they also get a medical card. And if you get a medical card, all of a sudden you can go buy the medicine your child needs. That's incredibly important. I know I have to go buy insulin, and my insulin without insurance would be $300 a vial. I go through a vial about a week and a half. That's expensive. I couldn't afford it without insurance. So,
On the housing, what is that?
somebody had a foreclosure, and we were able to step in and prevent the foreclosure under some COVID laws. So, and COVID has really changed the way we practice law. It used to be I was in the car, many hours a week. And now I usually sit at my desk and Zoom. It's these kind of meetings where I come in person. Court hearings that we're going to have evidence, complicated court hearings. Like most of the divorces are in person because they get complicated. But like the criminal cases in Marion County, I've got 3 today. I'll be in Zoom. I'll sit in my office and do them. And that'll save me an hour drive over, an hour drive back. And for probably 20 minutes of hearing. So it'd be great.
Save money.
Yeah. Yeah, especially now with the gas prices. Oh my God.
Mhm.
Not good.
I filled my car up this morning. I couldn't believe how much it cost.
Fill a semi up.
Well,
About $1,100.
I filled my pickup truck up the other day. It was $129 to fill it up. Couldn't believe that.
Why was it a quarter?
About a quarter tank left. Yeah. I got a bigger tank though.
Yeah.
It's like a 36-gallon tank, so you put $30 in it, $5 each. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to your
I see
meeting.
that, there's a big need for your services in Coffee County. There's a list of reasons to help fund your endeavors
I appreciate that.
in Coffee County. I guess this goes into our budget request stuff that we'll take up at a later date.
And as I always end my meetings on, if you have somebody that comes to you with a legal need, because you guys get people asking for things all the time, send them to me. If I can't help them, I'll know where to send them.
Mhm.
Okay?
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
sir.
Bye.
Library Administration, Mary Davies. Congratulations on the
I
bike
made it,
across
I'm
Kansas.
still alive, yeah, I made it.
Well, I won't even say it.
Yeah.
That's a long way to
I
ride a
was
bicycle.
I was in Dodge City the day it was so hot, so it was really,
Like a blast furnace out there,
it
wasn't
was
it?
bad.
Wasn't it hot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With a headwind.
Always.
Yeah, a strong one.
I printed out some more paperwork for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
I brought Liz Collins with me today. She's our library board president.
Morning, Liz.
Chairman.
Good morning, Liz.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I'm returning to answer some more questions about our budget.
Shocker, I have none. After visiting with you the other day, I have none.
We like it.
Bob is silent.
I mean, I'm visiting with them. Good. I think they're within their, boundaries of where they're at, and
The one item that I did change was on capital outlay. I did decrease that, and that the balance of our projects that we would pay from our long-term capital outlay balance.
I think one of the questions that I had the other day was, 2022 budget over 21 actual, and personnel services up 7.6%. But the 23 budget goes up 20.4, which makes the total for a 2-year period of a 25.5% increase. To me, that, is that gonna be increase in wages, increase in employees? So that's 25% over a 2-year period is a pretty sizable increase.
That is not increasing employees, that is increasing wages, and I've included a salary, I did a salary study before I made that recommendation, and we have employees who we have employees who are at the very bottom. This year we brought some employees up to $10 an hour. We had employees who were making less than that. And, part-time or not, we can't compete with even fast food at that price.
Yeah.
And so we had an employee that was a full-time employee who left for that reason. She can go to Emporia and earn more. And so, and then the other side of that argument is that it's also hard to find an employee to replace him. So we currently have 2 openings, and literally it's hard to find people to apply.
So it sounds like you're basically just getting your employees up to the level they should be.
Yes,
And that's a response I like to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
sounds
and
like
training, not to interrupt
Yeah.
you, training a new employee is
Yeah.
not cheap.
Yeah, and we want to retain them. We feel like we have good employees, and according to the salary comparison, it's not out of line, it's not huge or out of line, the request that we're asking. And we haven't, we didn't give them when some of the cities gave an increase this year. My employees are waiting. They didn't get, we tried to find other ways to show them that we appreciate them, but it was not through salary, and really salary is what speaks.
That's one way to give them a positive message is increase their salary.
Absolutely.
If it's within the structure
Right,
and not out of line with
right,
the study that you did, so.
right.
People seem to forget about the bonuses. If you throw a bonus out there, they forget about a lot. Employees forget about a lot, I think.
Well, and even when you give them, a bonus, it's still taxed,
Yeah.
and so it takes some of that away.
Contractual line item,
Mhm.
Mary, is up 26%. What makes up, and I know you've got more breakdowns in it.
I do. I listed what were the items that
'Cause I
fell
looked at
under contractual.
About the 4th page. It looks like this.
Internet, Wi-Fi, pest control, mowing, snow removal, state fire marshal inspection, carpet cleaning, HVAC contract, our courier service, our regional library services, circulation software is a big one. That's what Polaris is. We have an auditor. Our books are audited every year. We pay for accounting software called Sage that does our payroll and our accounts payable. A lot of those I can't control. They just send it to me, and those are the ones we have to pay. And then therefore, if those are more than expected, then it has to, we have to find some way to make it work under commodities, you know, if you have to take somewhere.
With the handout you passed out today, Mary, it's got a lot more line item details, and I think that's what we need to look at
Okay.
to justify it.
Thank you for
Didn't
doing
You're
that.
welcome.
mean to throw up a lot of red flags last week.
Yeah, that's all right.
This gives us the information that I think we need to take a serious look at, so.
Okay,
Appreciate the update and your effort to put this together.
thank you.
Thank you,
Took a
Mary.
lot of time.
Appreciate it.
I had it ready, I mean, I used it before when I brought my
Oh.
budget last time, I didn't just make it, but I didn't bring it along because I didn't realize. And then when I stood up here and got nervous, then I was like, I can't come in.
No need to
That's
give
human
it.
nature.
You did great, Mary.
You did good.
Thank you.
I bet, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Liz.
Mhm.
Let's put us ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, way up there, way.
See if we can get Mark down here.
Yuppie's available.
Hey, Mark, can you come down and talk about this tax abatement? Okay.
I do with it. You know, with the adjustments on the ag land, it might have been higher. With the way ag land is sold here in the last 6 months,
It could,
it might be.
I mean, it could very well be, but
I
that's
just
what
got
it
to
can tell us.
thinking about that. Right, I just got.
Because normally ag
don't
is-
speculate.
Ag is cheaper.
Right, it might not be at this point in time.
It's had a small increase.
It's just a small. Woo.
Well, the appraised value almost went cut in half.
Morning, Mark.
Good. How are you?
The question on this was moving it from ag land to something else, ag land. Just, up at Lebo.
We're moving, it's all ag land.
Isn't that about the cheapest tax
Um,
rate?
Well, when that was calculated originally, we had calculated too much of it going to Schroeder's,
Mm-hmm.
because what was going to Schroeder's was mostly grass. And when it was calculated, it was used a combination of the value of grass and crop together.
Okay, so crop is more.
Crop is more.
So that's the reason it's decreased by
Decreased.
40% or 45%.
Yeah.
Right, so we're taking away from one and giving it back to, the other guy.
Right.
Makes sense.
Okay. I mean, I think the explanation, is,
So, I think it's Botkins, is the other people
Danny,
involved, and
yeah.
you don't probably even get to see that.
right, yeah, there's nothing on here about that. It's just.
So, he's gonna end up getting an additional tax statement for the difference between
What it was.
what it was.
Okay. He might not be the happy one.
He won't be the happy one.
But it is small dollars, so.
Yes.
You don't know how much is gonna be assessed on the other end?
On Botkins, it'll be,
The difference?
it should be the difference.
That's what I would assume.
Looks like $36.
well, that's what's going to Schroeder, but Botkins will be, he said Botkins would be more.
Oh,
than-
okay.
That's not that big of a deal. We can address that when he probably comes in and fights the added. So,
I can't tell you
I'm
exactly
satisfied.
what's gonna be added to his until I go look at my
right,
sheet.
right, okay. All right, that gives us the explanation we needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'll move,
I'll second.
authorize director chairman to sign one tax abatement amount of $36.82. I moved. Donald, the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I could get Bobby to come up, or, if you wanted, you could start signing.
Yeah, we can do some signing and have run a break through there, or
Yeah.
figure maybe wait and,
Wade could come in, but Steve may not be here.
Yeah, Wade says he needed a time.
at this exact time.
Mm.
Okay. Well, I guess we can start signing checks and vouchers and notices and all that other fun stuff. These notices were all signed last week.
Oh, okay. I didn't even look at that, I just saw blue paper.
Yeah, 'cause they don't have Tom's initials on it. So are you enjoying retirement, or is it
Yeah.
actually retirement?
Mostly, yeah. I am enjoying it, so, yeah.
Been doing any camping?
Yeah, just got done camping down at Gridley Lake this last week. Beautiful facilities down there.
Now, where'd you say that was?
Gridley Lake,
Ridley Lake? Oh,
It's
I've
beautiful.
heard so many good things about it.
Oh, it's beautiful. They've done a great job down there.
So here's the ad. This is,
Okay.
so it looks like $36, is that it?
Yep, yep. $36.82.
Yeah.
Just took
And that's
took
the
one to
thing, you
other.
guys never get to see
Right.
those ads, so,
Right. Take one from one, give it to the other.
yeah.
That's
Or the other
why,
one gets
that's
free.
why we have questions.
I know.
All right,
Probably should get to see those too, even though you don't have to sign off on them.
Right, it would help explain
Right.
something.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Very well, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I love them. I don't know how much the county contributed to that, but that's a win down there.
Down there.
They could double the camping and they would use every spot. People go in there and camp a full week before holiday weekend so they can be there on the holiday weekend.
Is it first come, first served?
Yeah, there's no reservation.
Actually, the state contributed to that.
Did they?
Yeah, and the state provided them with a bunch of the stuff.
Oh, it's nice facilities down there. I hate to even say it out loud because you can't really get in. Thank you.
Keep it your little secret.
Yeah, it's not a very well kept secret.
Well, they've made a lot of updates out there last 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
I think they're looking to build another shelter house and,
Are they?
some more camping areas too.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I'm not kidding, Mark. They could double what they got and fill them all
Yeah,
up.
the check's in there. That's one. Oh, you know. So that goes with that.
Yeah, I think they went to the north, they got more room to expand to the north side of the lake, don't they? than they would-
They have ground over there. I don't
That
know
was just a.
elevation wise as far as the
That
lake,
was a double.
how it fluctuates,
Oh, I never thought about that, yeah.
you know. But yes, there is ground on the north side of that lake. Of course, that's gonna be costly to get all the utilities to the other side of that state. put it this way, we left, I don't remember, middle of the week, there was people already camping there, so they're there for the 4th.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
Already.
yeah.
What's the, per day? Is there a per day fee?
$15 a day or something, I mean, it's not very much. And that's with electric and water.
Yeah, it's all electricity you can use and
Yeah.
all water you can use. Get both air conditioners humming, you're gonna chew up some dollars with electricity
Yeah.
pretty quick,
Yeah, they were humming last week when we were there.
I can imagine.
Good chance they weren't breaking even.
No.
I can't see how they were. 'Cause every site, I think, was full and all the air conditioners were running.
The first that goes in there is after the green folder.
All right.
I was told by Jeff that they did not, they went down and looked at that Freightliner down there at, Springfield, I think it was. They said it must have hauled corrosive or something, he said it was not good, so they didn't act on it.
Not one that we need to get involved with.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough finding them.
Sign that one.
Okay. Yeah, the wife was looking online last night for some camping spots, but kind of few and far between, especially over there at Melbourne.
Ever since COVID, the usage has gone up on a lot of places as far as camping and the market for campers.
Yeah.
Too. Can't fly somewhere without a long wait.
Angie, here's one of our commercial cards. It looks like it's mostly our health department. And I'm not sure I'm reading it correctly, but they're mostly in June, but it's got pair after that. We still got her name tied to all this stuff?
Yeah, Carl has already been in, contact with them to get
Because
that all
everything here's
changed
got
over.
her name on it.
Yeah, but he's working on getting it changed, may have it changed by now, I don't know.
Okay. It's been long enough, it should have been changed immediately.
Yeah, I can double check with him and make sure.
What's smoke on the river backyard sanctioning fee? Barbecue?
You haven't heard of that one?
Kansas City Barbecue Society. We're paying them.
$250. Could be an ad. Promotional deal, I assume.
Is that from the health department?
No, it's from.
No, that's from the
Economic development, probably trying to get them down here for the
circus.
deal would be my guess, or
Good.
trying to do something in that aspect.
And here's another $166 for. Same thing, I guess.
There's probably some upfront expense money to be paid to retain somebody here.
I tell you, finding people to come in, just, you know, like, I think the mall up in Emporia's having trouble getting food trucks coming in there. And I know when we was down in Winoka,
Spring powered single shot bolt action infantry carbine airsoft rifle. Okay.
Will you do it, go down to Winoka, Oklahoma?
mm-hmm.
Rattlesnake Hunt?
No, that was in April, we just went down and fried in the sand, all we did. We were 130 out there in the sand.
We were down there, they won a rattlesnake hunt 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Speed loader.
Doesn't sound like fun at all.
I said I won't be back in June, July, August, September, no, it'll be
Either one of you.
April, May, March, April, May, and October, November.
I don't know why Don wanna go play with rattlesnakes.
I don't mind them.
There's 4 of us went down there to the rattlesnake hunt, that's quite an experience.
You can have my part in that.
Then they have the soup afterwards.
You can
Rattlesnake,
keep,
rattlesnake.
I'll have
soup.
beef.
90% of those rattlesnakes are caught a week or 2 or a month ahead when because they smoke them out of their dens. Some type of a smoking apparatus, they smoke them out.
Enjoy, you'll find me in Kansas.
We didn't do much hunting, I can tell you that. Seen a few crossing the highway that didn't make it across the highway.
And that's the way all of them should be. Speed bumps.
All the times I've been down there, I've only seen one snake, and that was just last time on the trail. He was shooting across the trail as we was flying through. That was the only snake I've ever seen. But you could see the tracks after a night of wind blowing, and it's nice and smooth. You can see the tracks where they come out on the sand.
Okay.
So you missed state trooper?
No,
No?
not a bit. Of course, I wasn't doing much road work my last years. I was, as a lieutenant, I had ended up with a lot of extra administrative duties, so I
Yeah.
did PICO a lot for dealing with grants and.
Right. I met the kid there in Lebo. Can't think of his cotton picking name, but he was at his range, private range, and I was out there, and I guess I Guess he's one of the KHP snipers or shooters, something, had
I
a,
think he's on our response team. I'm not sure if he's a sniper, but yeah.
he was very salty.
I think, are we just down to one now, besides Akins?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And that was his last name, was Akins.
Well, Akins is.
No,
He's,
Akins is north.
Akins has been here for a while. He's the motor care, he's a mix-up trooper. Checks truck.
That was his name.
I know I can't help you on that.
Yeah.
I know we lost one kid transferred out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went relocated. I mean, he's still on patrol, but just not here.
They don't get paid enough for what they do.
They're having a real hard time filling spots, I
I
can
can
tell you.
imagine. Well, especially with all the loons out there these days, I mean.
I remember the last class might have had 4 or 5 people go ahead and graduate, yeah. That's not hardly cost effective, but if you don't do it, you got nothing.
You got nothing, that's right, that's right. You gotta keep pumping that pipeline, you know, putting them in, you don't put anything in, nothing comes out.
That is a fact.
I see so much of stuff that wouldn't have happened 15, 20 years ago. Nowadays, I'm like, wow, how are these people even operating? Why are they even moving down the road? Just basic, because they're slipping through the cracks.
Yeah.
There's not enough force out there to enforce the rules.
Sure. That is true.
Some of the driver's ability.
There is none.
There's some of the what? I'm sorry.
Driver's ability to drive the truck.
Lack of.
Well, yeah, there's been some federal oversight on some of that that's limited the ability to correct that.
All trickles downhill, doesn't it?
I'd like to think they'd be kept to much higher standards than they're being held to right now.
Third days, I just wonder how.
I've been on the road a lot the last 2 months, and
Just how and why
wow.
are they on the road?
And I think some people understand that I have a perspective from both sides. My grandfather, that's all he was a truck driver his whole
Mhm.
life, so I mean,
Mhm.
I can see from both sides of the
Yep.
windshield, you know.
And it's not only the trucks, it's the 4-wheelers too.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the boneheaded moves they make.
So yes, this could be retired.
I'm thinking along the same lines as you.
The traffic during COVID was a lot better.
Ooh, yes. It's just like a Saturday night or a Sunday morning at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
You know, there's nothing on the road.
yeah. Lately going to the city, I just shake my head.
Well, you're shaking it because of the rough road.
Oh,
The other thing really makes you,
Miami County, Johnson County line, northbound.
you know,
It's hard to stay in the seat.
always getting that left lane.
How you doing, Steve?
Good, yourself?
Getting along pretty good till you show up.
I can leave.
I'm glad you're taking all the heat.
Steve is here.
Glad he showed up, they was picking on me earlier.
9:50, I'll take a break.
Take a quick
I'm
break.
being quiet now.
Is Wade available at 10, as far as you know?
Should be, yeah.
We might take a 10-minute break and
Take a 10-minute break.
take a 10-minute break.
As you hand me the book.
And then we'll be ready for our 10 o'clock.
He's just right from 10 o'clock.
pick on him now. They already started.
Steve might fight back though.
Exactly.
Might have different tools to fight
Yeah,
with.
you don't have to stay here as long as I do.
Oh, we can just get up and leave, can't we?
Yeah, I guess, good.
Yeah, what I did, is I looked at it, the ringer was still shut off, but. Phone call.
Not even, I had no idea. I knew it was a little.
Their choice. You don't? What's his flavor?
I don't know.
The good stuff.
Whatever he wants at the time.
The good stuff.
He'll choose that to tell.
Oh.
I'll take it, well, I won't be here.
You better leave a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, I wish you luck. Hope you can pull it off, I don't know that you want it, but hope you can pull it off.
I don't know that I've done anything yet. When you got four people running for one spot, anything can happen.
Oh, is there four
Yeah.
people? Well, yeah. Should I one of them? She needs to run.
No, that's the power behind the power. I don't think so. I'm on the Christmas list. I just got off the zoning planning for Neutron, and I voted, I approved a building, affirmed the building permit, they didn't want it. So, then Sue took the court and lost here, so, I mean, I made the right choice. Not the right, wrong choice, but they wanted.
No offense, but I've never really been a big fan of that type of structure in a residence.
So I totally get it.
We don't, there's gonna be some parts of that are.
Just like that, they had a lot of feeling, we had a public hearing and the whole thing. It's like, I hear a lot of people, you need to give them rule, policy, something, I can't just say, we don't want it. Because that guy would have sued, and he'd have won, because there was no, it wasn't violated. No code, no ordinance against, no code, no nothing. You have to approve it. Or if you think it should be in your neighborhood or not, I get that, but I don't have a choice to vote any other way. Because it wouldn't have held up. I mean, it wasn't gonna stand up. If somebody could have gave me something to work with, other than I don't want it here. Got that? That's not good. That's security and hot water. So, yeah, I doubt that I'm being supported that well. You got Wayne, and I'm on, yeah, Wade Thompson, Brian Burke, Brandon, or Brandon, that's right, Brandon. Brian is like, married my cousin. Brandon's got the best slogan, let's go, Brandon. And then, yeah, Baker, they put her name. Oh, yeah, what's that mean?
If you get it, good luck, if you don't.
Yeah,
He's been putting this off for what, 2 times?
yeah.
He kept saying, hell, I know.
I wasn't gonna run against him.
He wasn't gonna run against him, he kept saying, I'm gonna run against you.
Then I thought maybe everybody forgot about it, they didn't.
Yeah, all over the place.
Very reluctant politician. There won't be, if I lose, there will be no here.
And then probably similarly priced.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the looks, yeah, that's good.
Which office is that?
That is the register of deeds office in Allen County. And that is the CSO office, also in Allen County.
Down here. Might also talk about how we have our.
Oh, yeah, sure. See how many shots are fired per.
How many employees do you have there?
25, I think.
Is that gotten more?
No, it's actually gotten less. It was 30 years ago. But, you know, we're like everybody else. Seek other opportunities, and we're a great education facility for technicians, so we lose, retrain, but two of them were my own family members, so two of them I lost. My boy went to work for the school district as an IT coordinator, and my wife went to work for another school district as a clerk, so, anyway, kind of self-inflicted.
So your numbers are down a little bit in your employment force?
They are, we're probably down 5.
I knew they were, 2 or 3 years ago, it was in the low 30s or somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was right at 30, yep.
Earlier, Tom.
30, 31.
Only printed one copy.
Of course, lost a very good one, the guy you call a son-in-law. He was one of my best.
I think that was a tough choice for him.
It was, but it was good for
The
him.
register of deeds.
It was one he couldn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we were fortunate to have him as long as we did.
They did that.
We are live right now, so.
I'll quit talking bad about it.
Well, explain how you got into it.
Make you aware that we're.
Or you didn't know they did that down there?
I knew, I just thought it was just computers.
He'll fill you in here in a few minutes, so.
So do you stream, or what do you do?
Yeah, it's YouTube,
Is it a YouTube channel?
but it'll get posted later.
Sure.
2 and.
But just the one now, that one don't shoot back.
It doesn't?
I thought it was supposed to, but it never. As far as every one I watched is just out.
Really? Thought we were supposed to have both angles.
I thought so too.
IT.
What are you gonna do?
Wade, did you have a good weekend?
Good. Did you?
I worked, yes. It was a good weekend. Too short, but I'll have more.
Yes, they are. Some shorter than others.
Had to go feed deer. I did that all day Saturday.
Doing 2,000 pounds at a time though.
Mhm.
That's wild.
It'll last 30 days.
Really?
Yep. We'll put out 4,000 pounds feed and it'll last 30 days. 2 different spots.
For
deer only?
Printed off
Yep.
one set of this.
And they're tightened down.
Because
Tight
you give them
thinking.
to me.
Well, everybody else has seen them, but.
Oh.
So, that's down in Allen County. One is the register of deeds, the other one is court services.
It's a thick old glass, isn't it?
9mm do the same thing.
I guess. We'll go ahead and hit 10 o'clock.
Do we
It
need
just hit 10.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Angie.
I'll jump up and introduce him and then.
County Security Department. All right, we're back in, we'll hit 10 o'clock, Wade Bowie and Steve Prasco.
So, I invited Mr. Prasco here. I've known Mr. Prasco for quite some time. I know that Advantage Computers has done the security glass in Allen County and some other counties, so I reached out to him. He's the one who I had been in contact with last year about getting a quote. He renewed the quote. That's what I've handed out to you in reference to the project. The quote, just for where we are right now, for the prosecutor's office, register of deeds, appraiser's office, treasurer's office, and the district court is $297,685. So it's not cheap, but I mean, you wanted updated numbers, and that's what he provided. So I'll turn it over to Steve, and he can talk to you about what this entails, how he got into this line of work since it's a computer company, and what projects he's currently working on.
So, this is one of those weird, how do I get into it situations. When you're in IT, and I've been doing this for 26 years in IT. I'm co-owner of Advantage Computers. People kind of get used to the quality that you do in some areas, and I was actually in a CSO office, because we handle the Allen County CSO IT, well, the whole county, but anyways, and got asked about security and bullet-resistant material and stuff of that nature. I said, well, I don't do it, but if you want me to look into it, I would. It came through basically a factor of just a long relationship and trust with, if I put my name on it, it's going to be good, it's going to be a quality product. And so the district court clerk actually asked me to take care of the CSOs. We did it as just because no one else could find anybody could do it. So we brought in a solution, just kind of thought it was a one-off, just to kind of help them out, because they needed a barrier for when their people came in to keep the threat at bay. Anyways, we put it in, they liked it, and then word spread. I don't advertise it. It's not like I've got a construction company. It's not. It's just one of those things that because we do security with cameras and doors and access control and all those kind of things, they just asked if we could forge some bullet-resistant material on there, and a wall and so on and so forth. So from a construction guy, for a guy who built his house and so on and so forth, it's not, wasn't a big deal for me. It's just finding good help and so on and so forth. So we took that on. That led us to Neosho, which led us to Labette, which led us to Chautauqua, just led us. And it's just people come and they say, well, who did that? Which is why I provided some pictures. It's not like we're kind of if I'm going to put my name on it, it's going to look good, it's going to function well, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of how I got into it, just kind of a word-of-mouth thing. What it does, what we try to do in that barrier mode is prevent, so when someone's coming from the public, you're either met with a bulletproof glass, all three, glass, door, and wall. And then there's obviously a way to communicate between the two. When people come in, you can either slide paper underneath it, or we put what's called a bomb box in. If you have, if I was wanting to give this to the person on the safe side and I'm on the threat side, they have these little bomb boxes you can stick in and shut, and when the door opens, this door always remains shut. When you close it, then that one can open and you can pass through. Or you just elevate the greeting area so you can slide paper through. It's department by department. You kind of got to go in and talk to them all and see what they're willing to do and what not willing to do. The glass, all of it's level 1, which means it can take a 9mm, about 5 or 6 in the exact same hole before you actually can penetrate it. And so if your threat's just blasting, it's just chipping, We also handed some of that stuff to the sheriff department in Allen County and had him go out and shoot it, and I actually have that bullet in my office that's showing the ability for it to resist. So we didn't just take somebody's word for it. We're like, hey, go shoot this and rubber stamp it for us. And so we, with the COVID thing, it kind of came up and got even a little bit more because we were creating a barrier between the public and the staff, and then also creating a safe and so multi-threat, not only a disgruntled member of your community, but also the unseen of the COVID situation. So it has some dual benefit, obviously. So we looked at this last year. I came in and just took some brief measurements. Again, we just kind of take it from a wall, door, glass concept. We always leave, because we don't really want to mess with the lighting or the air conditioning. We leave about an 8 to 10 inch gap at the top so air can go over and circulate. You don't create a hot spot, things of that nature. The glass is extremely expensive, and from last year when I think it was last year, we looked at this. It's went up 20%, and I can't even get the guy to quote me because I can't. He said, "Well, I'll quote you, but it ain't gonna be what it's gonna be because if you wait a week or 2 weeks, diesel goes from X to Y. If you wait a month, it goes to Z, and my shipping costs and its freight comes in on semi because it's so heavy." Which is, I didn't provide it, but one of the things we've done in Labette County District Court, because of my contacts with doing IT, we use Countertop Trends and came in and actually set up the countertops, because when you set that kind of weight on it, it's pretty significant. That stuff is very significantly heavy. So we just kind of get involved in. And I never thought I'd be doing a countertop, but when I went in to look at that and we said, well, I'm going to place a significant amount of weight on there, she's like, I can't do that. And you're like, well, can you fix that? I said, yeah, I have to get some custom countertops. I happen to know Kara Countertop Trends, called her and said, hey, I need some. It was actually her sister, but anyways. So the 20%, what it'll be in a month or two, I have no idea. But that's just the overall increase that's happened in the last 12 to 18 months. For a variety of reasons, but availability is tricky as far as getting the product, and then getting the product at a reasonable price is, and I know that number's staggering, and it is, but it is a significant amount of work that we have to come in and do, but it's the work, if you put a regular wall up, it's nothing like that, but when you start adding the 4x8 sheets of resistant material, not only the glass, but the board that we put in.
So that's underneath the countertop?
Yeah, so like, depending upon all this, other than the district court was quoted with just wall. So like in the district court, when I met with them, we will have to go in and cut that board and mount to or in front of their cabinetry, because we take it from our highest to our lowest point. So the guy, if you've ever had somebody come in and do like an active shooter examination of what would happen and where would they go and how they would do, whether it's your sheriff department or KBI or whoever, Allen County did that, which is what sort of prompted some of this. But you have to look at where is that shooter shooting below the counter, like what you're mentioning. You want to make sure and prevent, because really what you're trying to do is give the sheriff time to get there and know where the guy's at. The first one we did in Allen was to try to contain it in a spot where, because there was nowhere for staff to go. So once the shooter was in the main entrance, there's no out. And so you're just trying to give that barrier enough time for the panic button to get hit and the sheriff to show up to take care of the situation. So that's why it's specific with the shots to an exact. I mean, you'd literally have to put that gun right in and put that bullet right there, right in the exact same spot to actually get through. But anyway.
But then you're only getting through in a hole like that instead
right.
of
Yeah,
hole
you're
like
you're in better shape than you are if you don't have it, that's for sure. And there are some, there are some products that are out there that, where you put a film on glass, and that's just a false sense of security from my perspective, because what it does, if you put a film on it and you shoot it, it spiders it, instead of the glass just dropping and being gone, and then you have a hole and opening, it spiders it, and keeps it there, but you're still shooting through it. You're deflecting the bullet to some extent, but you still are to the point with a couple shots, you push it out and you're in, and, you know, all chaos is going on. But anyways.
Steve, you referred to the 9mm three different times.
Mhm.
How does that compare to the AR-15 or the big rifles? What's a comparable?
Yeah, we didn't shoot an AR into the situation, but I think it comes down to like 3. So I could get the logistics on that, but because those numbers are out there, I don't have them in front of me. But I want to say if it's 6 or 7 of a 9, it's 2 to 3 on an AR because it's a higher caliber.
It does have one.
Yeah. And again, it won't. You're never going to lose everything. I mean, the glass will hold, but and the bullet has to go exactly to the exact spot. And I could. I mean, if that was kind of real hardcore information you wanted, I could look it up, and I also could provide the glass and the board and say, I'll meet your sheriff out the shooting range, let's go, you know, that kind of a thing, just to get some sense of what will it do in an actual performance situation, because it is expensive, but no one's going around shooting it because it is so expensive, to be honest with you. Other than in that particular situation with Alan, we had some extra, and so we just threw it out there and said, we'll see what it'll do.
Test it out.
Yep. I mean, it's you know, it's a kind of a Reagan thing. Trust but verify.
What is your expected time frame if we decide to move forward with this? About 3 or 4 months, or 6 months, or a year?
6 months. It'll take me from the point that you guys actually if you decide to move it and rubber stamp it, it'll take me. So our process will be, these were numbers to get to you so you had discussion points. So you had an idea of what are we really talking about. I still would need to come in and sweat all the little details as far as if I'm in the appraiser's office, that's a 28 linear foot situation, and I've got to support that wall where a guy just couldn't throw his shoulder into it and tip it over, right? So I can go in the bottom and the sides, but then I got to actually open the tile up and see what's happening upstairs, because I need to go up and secure that intermittently. And I haven't done that, and I also usually go department by department and start to talk to them. I did a little bit a year ago, but we have to address things like ADA. You have your clerk's, your treasurer's office that has a driver's license component to it, I believe, and I think that's a lower deal. And so when you buy this glass, you buy it in 4x8 sheets, and so which is why we like to raise it up to counter level, because if we turn it and go a 4x8 and we only get out of that X amount of dollars for a sheet and we can only use 4 foot of it, it's a whole lot more expensive than if we lay it and use the 8 foot of it. So the board and wall is a lot cheaper than the glass by far. And so we usually try to use as little as glass to reduce the cost, but that would have to be a department by department discussion as we meet with the department head and say, okay, here's the number is this, it's wall, glass, and door, all at countertop height. Now you want to drop that down and create an ADA situation, it's going to cost a little more because I'd have to rotate that glass and I won't get as much linear. But I've not sweat, because it's a lot. I mean, I don't need anybody to feel sorry for me, but it's a lot of work. It really is to go in and sweat those details so that you get a product like the pictures you have that represent well, look good, and actually will perform for the function it's intended, which is obviously security. Anyways.
Well, you can't put a price tag on lives. That's for darn sure.
And the doors are enforced, right?
They are level 1 resistant, yes. The framing, the whole thing. It comes as a kit. It's all pre-assembled. So the frame, the door, everything. The only thing, and I noticed in what I provided you, I put it twice, and I'm not trying to drive that statement home, but it doesn't come with the access control component. We're not embracing that because you guys have your own IT. We need to visit with them and say, okay, IT, as far as access control goes for every door, typically, like the ones we do, they're cards, so our, members are, you know, our installations are actually have a card, they swipe it and they go in. That has to be coordinated countywide, and I don't know what you guys have here, but that hardware will have to be configured and is not included in that. We do have the panic bars on the backside, so that, we have to provide egress, obviously, and we don't mess with little handles for staffing. It's just bump, stop, and out you go. And the doors have to swing out, and that's by design. You don't want them to swing in, because if you do have an active shooter, you want that door to hit as he's shooting or as he's trying to kick his way in. He's hitting the frame, he's not just stopped by a lock. So all the doors will swing outwardly if we do the job. And I've kind of, in that little picture, you kind of get some conceptual ideas of what it looks like from a perspective of, it isn't to scale. I will, if you move forward and before we order anything, it will be drawn up to scale, so you know exactly what it would in essence look like. But that, again, takes a little bit of time. And so I kind of conceptually, so that you had a number and sort of in your mind, oh, that's what the guy's talking about, and so that you could, and this one, which, sorry to provide, it's in red, so it's, what I'm showing is the door, all the material below it, and the wall would all be resistant, and of course the glass. And these are and you can kind of see it in the picture, it's where your employees will address the guests and be able to communicate, so it's an offset. So as you look to the side, it's an offset, so when you're talking into it, the sound goes around, they can hear what's going on. We've had some situations where we've had to put speaker boxes, but most of the time, that's significant enough. If you run into a situation where you're like, well, we're having a lot of struggles with communicating with the public, then we can come in and put in little mics and put speakers on the other side and vice versa, kind of like a bank teller. I mean, it's not what we prefer to do, but it's doable.
On the pass-throughs, are they dug down or?
It can be. We don't usually do that, because then we're digging into the counter. So we usually just raise, and that's usually by department. And we're saying, okay, what are we, 80% of the time, what are we passing back and forth? And usually, what I've experienced is they 3 or 4 sheets, and then they're calling me back saying, I can't get a pin through there. And so usually the standard is a pin. We want to be able to pass a pin underneath, but it is case by case. Some people are like, no, most all I ever have is 2 sheets of paper, and so we're talking, 3/16 of an inch or whatever, 3/8 of an inch, and it's just enough to push paper. If significant equipment, not equipment, but stuff, a stapler or whatever, whatever it may be, being random, then that bomb box comes into play. That's what it's commonly referred to. Because again, it has 2, you put it in the corner, it has 2 doors. When one door's open, the other one cannot be. So when the threat side opens it, you can't open the safe side, and when the safe side opens, you can't open the threat side. And so it works in tandem. But that way, stuff of significant size can be passed through.
So if the 3, I guess the top 4 estimates, they don't include the reinforced underneath counters?
No, it's all wall, window, and door. It's just me going in and saying, okay, like for the appraiser, which is 28 linear foot. And what we started doing, and we've learned as we've gone, depending upon the installation, what we like to do is lay the wall at a 2x6, and then we come in and frame the inside. So we put a 2x4 this way, then we put the bullet-resistant material on the inside, and then we come in and lay a flat 2x4 so that it all encompasses, and that way we're not trying to make that material look good, because we have drywall on both sides at that point, so we can make it look good, smooth it out, paint it, and all you'll know is that in between that 6-inch wall, that bullet-resistant material is in there. Because sometimes we'll just, if somebody's like, no, I just want to get it done, I don't really care about the look, it's more budget, then we can just literally mount that to a wall and put some screws in, and we'd like it to be on the threat side so the bullet's hitting and it's resisting against something, but you can't make the bullet-resistant material look good. I mean, you can skin coat it, but you can't make it look smooth like you can drywall. But, you know, in some cases, if somebody's out there like, well, I don't, you know, it's underneath the counter, you know, I don't care if it looks kind of rough. Well, okay, well, we can save some money there. But, so anyways, that's kind of the concept of what we do. And that was something we came up with just because we had some struggles with, people really don't necessarily like the material of the board. But to each his own.
Here's my only concern, in between the glass and the countertop, straight. I don't like that. But
Say that
just
again.
In between, like if this here's where the papers or the gap is, I'd prefer something curved or.
And it can be done. We can actually, we can dig out of that 2x6, you know, or leave it short so that we can set that pan in there and it can come in and out, because you can't get a gun underneath there.
That's
because
what
it's so,
my concern was.
Yeah.
Can't get a gun, but you could shoot a bullet with ricochet.
See, that's what I'm worried about, just that gap, if it was curved.
I'd rather have an 1/8 inch gap versus an 1.5 inch dip, because the bullet would go right into that person.
That's more common, is there's no pan there. We usually are just straight across.
Do you think that person's just gonna stand there in front of that little deal when
I
somebody's
hope
out there
not.
with a gun?
But
Well,
I
the
just,
first shot would be
they're curved and then your 1/8 inch down is a little harder, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah,
well.
If that can be kept at an 1/8 inch, it's all right.
Yeah.
But if it isn't up to 1.5 inches, a bullet's gonna go right in.
And I mean, you're talking where those things, you can usually get a hand underneath it, you know, but you're not gonna get a gun underneath, but you can slip a little bit underneath there, and then it's kind of case by case as far as what a department head really wants and how they're gonna use, and if they do. Again, we usually go and visit with all of them and try to explain to them and show them the pictures. This is what the product's gonna look like, here's what we're gonna do. Like, the one for the register of deeds that's in there, that counter we actually used for her, or with her. That, we were able to turn it, it was a fully metal counter, and made it, and it could handle the glass weight, so we were able to integrate that with her current counter. What I've seen so far, I don't think you have anything that I can really set that significant amount of weight on it. And it's close enough, you guys could, you know, if you want to make a trip, go see that. I try to provide the pictures to save you the travel time, but we did the appraiser, the register of deeds, and then the CSO of just last year. We did CSO 2 or 3 years ago. Actually, it's been done CSO twice. We did the first time we did it, that was 5 years ago, and it just dominoed, so on and so forth. But anyways.
So if our jail project goes, there's, you know, possibly some remodeling going on around here. Adding to or taking away from some of this would not be of a major effort.
Explain how.
I don't know.
Well, once
I
you
guess
put,
what I'm saying is that if things get shifted around and, I don't know what'll happen.
So how we would address it is, as you walk in, so take the most difficult one, which I believe to be at this point the appraiser, because it's the longest linear and there's 2 doors. So what we would be doing is putting all wall, which is glass and wall that you can't see through, obviously, and a door in the right. So there's a barrier from the public walking around down your halls and whatnot, that once they get in, there's no one getting into there. So that room can be used however, but if you were to dice it up a little bit, then we would need to come in and shrink it or amend it in some way.
If it got expanded or shortened or whatever, it's not a major issue.
We just add more wall or cut wall out and put window because you need more window, and we've done that. Labette County Attorney's Office, they were a multiple project for us. We went down and put them a new, converted his break room to an office and new IT closet and so on and so forth, and then went in and cut a hole in the wall and so that they could actually put a barrier between them and the public, and it's definitely doable.
I don't know what would happen, but something may happen,
Sure.
I guess what I'm trying to say, so.
Well, if we build it, we definitely could disassemble it and rearrange it down the road if needed to.
Okay.
Yeah. There may be some structural issues, like I mentioned before, that I gotta worry about because I can't span 28 feet without securing the top part. Sometimes when we're doing a little bit, I may put a cross member, in there and come over to the side and take a saw and draw it down and then anchor that with a 45 down to the base where it's in the concrete up to the top. I mean, but ultimately, it's nice to just poke a hole right through the roof and grab some significant structure up above. That way, that wall doesn't go anywhere.
Are these drawings, for example, the appraisers, is that this wall, is this what's along the hallway?
No, so you walk,
Behind the hallway.
yes, that appraiser's office, at least, last time I was here, I didn't walk in there today, is a very long bunch of,
Right.
stand-up desk kind of greet your people kind of thing, but there's no way I could set anything on there. But what I would do is try to bring that, so let's say if this was in the appraiser's office, that thing's, you know, somewhere up in here in their desk, and then they have the drop down and they work down here, but there's a lip right here, somewhere in that elevation. We would try to bring the bottom of our area right even with them, so that it would be their counter and it would just butt up against ours, so that it looks like it belongs there. Others have had us go in and put, on one of those, on the CSO one, you'll see a countertop. That is all our wall, and they actually wanted, we went with Countertop Trends, and they actually brought a nice countertop in there for the top of that, because that's what they wanted. Costs a little more, obviously, to put a countertop on it versus just putting a 2x6 and painting it and making it match the floor color. They wanted something a little different, which we did. But that was that's not in my bid, so if I go to department by department, they're like, no, I really want a nice countertop, then we gotta kinda talk about, well, where do you split it? Are you giving most of the room for the threat side, or are you trying to divide it in the guest, or the employee side? Because sometimes they're trying to provide enough, but a paper can be set and discussed while the barrier's right here. So they want 11 to 12 inches for a sheet of paper so they can sign or whatever. And, you know, it's form and function. You kind of got to go in and say, okay, I've got a wall with a 6-inch lip on it. Now what do you want? What can we make work? And so if we have, of course this is, 11 inches, so if this is in half and we mount that wall, it doesn't give much room for the guest to do anything on. And so then you kind of, like in the registered deeds of this location, there's a pretty significant countertop in there that we would just mount on. And there'd be plenty of room for that situation, because that, number one, that cabinet in there is all steel. It ain't going anywhere. It's got a little slant to it. If you were to ever stop in there and look, you'd see that the front of that has a downward slope. We will have to mitigate that somehow, and that's one of those things you got to talk to her and say, well, I really am going to have to put screws into this and to protect the threat side. But there's some things there's only so much you can do. But anyways, but she's got enough.
Sounds to me like, Steve, we're still at a discovery point on seeing an exact design. If we move forward, you're going to come in, measure everything, detail everything, provide us specs that it would meet.
I would draw it.
We're still in the discovery point that we need to make the decision to move forward to that point.
Yeah, so that's why my concept with this was to get you, before, I didn't know how much interest there really was. But if there's serious interest from the commissioners, then I can draw up the scale. I can tell you, it won't be any less than what you have in front of you, because that's the bare bones situation with, like I was explaining, wall, glass, door, and 6-inch lip from a 2x6. It only goes, and what I can do is provide amendments to the commissioners if somebody says, well, I really want a countertop, because I want to mitigate a 18 or a 20-inch countertop, so I get 10 inches on this side and 10 inches on that side for work to be done. It's not a big deal, but if you put 28 inches of countertop down at the appraisers, you're talking, that's not dollars. It's hundreds of dollars. So those kind of things aren't factored in, but if you say, well, I can do that if I can take less glass and put more wall, and that's what I would go into it as, saying, well, I can put more wall, less glass, and then I can put that countertop in and stay within the reason. which is kind of why I drew it, so you kind of see what perspective is what I'm quoting. But yeah, so Don, what would be appreciated from my perspective is like, okay, if you want me to do more work, or you want to go out for bid, or whatever, you know, whatever you guys got to do as a commissioners, do what you do. Just I will be glad if you're serious about it to come in and sweat each department head and say, okay, we're still okay because I'm doing less glass, I'm doing more wall, or oh, this one I've got to do ADA. It wasn't in the factor in, but if they do less glass on one side, then I might be able to do more ADA to lower, and just see if I can come in with what's quoted for the way each department head would like their wall to be built, versus me walking in saying, I'm doing what the commissioners told me, this is what you get. That's usually not our approach. We don't usually get friends when we do that. Well, anyway.
Well, you know, my thing is there a reason that there's gotta be 28 foot of open area at the treasurer's office? Or is there a reason to have 28 foot at the treasurer's office? Because that's a long open area in itself as well.
Yep.
I mean, you can't have any more than, what, 2 people? 2 or 3
Treasurer's
people?
office, 2 is all that's normally there, most of the time.
And if you're only allowed 2 or 3 people in the treasurer's office in that area right now, so could it be narrowed down?
Well,
When you're inside looking out,
yeah,
it's gonna feel like you're in a box.
Right. And we try to prevent that to some extent, but everything is obviously from previous years, has been 6 foot apart. So everything that we've done, if we put a window, we always put another window 6 foot over, for obvious reasons, with COVID stuff. So you kind of, if you put 3 windows, you know, you're starting to talk 18 feet, you're at 28, you only got 10 more feet, and you got a 3 foot door, you're about there. So those are the kind of things you got to think about and say, well, how many am I really going to address at one time? And when we did this, when Wade and I walked around, we were just, let's get a measurement. I got some concepts here. Yeah, I've done enough of these. I can ballpark it pretty close, and not worry about, I would not want to come in and say, well, I can do it for this, and then I come back and say, well, it's going to be that. It's $50,000 more. Well, if it's $50,000 more, you'll hear why. What the situation. If you wait, it will be $50,000. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to do what makes sense for the county. I'm not trying to pressure anybody. I'm just telling you, it went up 20% in a year. So, and diesel's only
going down.
Do what?
Paints aren't going down.
And availability is another thing, which is why I said earlier it's 6 months at a minimum for me, because getting the stuff and getting it shipped in is, and because it comes from California. So it is not anyways, it's a challenge. But so far, I've gotten everything I've requested in time. It just sometimes delays it a little bit. And where we have so much construction, we'll need a dumpster. You're hauling, these things are very heavy, and just hauling them up the stairs and whatnot. There'll be 3 or 4 guys in here working an easy 60 to 90 days for sure. Spread out over product availability and paint drying and drywall drying and sanding and all that kind of stuff.
So do we want him to go further on this and get a harder, go to office and see what countertop needs to be done to get a firmer bid, or do we want to, before you can order the glass, you gotta know exactly how many feet of glass you need?
Yeah, well, true, and definitely to try to, department by department, like I said, shrinking less to go more or whatever, that's kind of a department head discussion, is what I usually do. I mean, I'm not trying to go around you guys, I just usually give the respect that's due to the department head and say, I'm getting ready to affect your office. This is what it's going to look like. I don't want you mad at me or my guys when we're doing it, so let's try to make it as applicable and presentable to the public, and it's your environment, you're in here every day, here's what's going on. So, like I said, that's what I usually do. I'm usually getting department head information and letting them understand exactly what it's good, because everyone's different. Say, well, I don't wanna see the top of a 2x6 that's painted, I want a countertop. Well, okay.
To me, the countertop is almost a necessity, especially for people to sign papers outside they need at least 12 inches. And to me, it might be more efficient if we set some standards for each office. Everybody have a countertop, instead of this and this. Instead of giving everybody a choice, you may have to end up with four different deals, which adds cost to it.
The exception to that, Don, would be the registered deeds. I don't need a countertop because I got a really good counter there with a lot of depth that I can set it on. And so, yes, I would suspect each office may like to have at least a chunk of countertop. Maybe just, if they're doing one window, maybe it's just the width of the window, versus the others then is wall and is glass. All that can be mitigated just fine. It's just that if I don't do 28 foot of countertop, obviously if I just put a little, if there's 3 windows or if there's 2 versus 3, then we just put, and they're 6 foot apart. So you got 6 plus maybe 2 on each, on the other side of each other. So you get 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 foot of countertop. And then we go back to wall and window, because then it just creates a 10 or 12 foot countertop. Well, that's a lot more reasonable to work with than 28 foot, just being level-headed about it. And that's the kind of stuff we would work in and say, well, if we're doing 3, we did 3 and we're only gonna do 2, I'm not worried about countertop, because I guarantee you countertop's a whole lot cheaper than that glass is. A whole lot cheaper. Anyways.
Who else do you know that's in the state that's doing this? I know you said you're sort of a unicorn right now.
I really don't know. Anyone that's, you could call and say, I'm sure construction guys could, because it's just construction. It's, I can't answer that.
There's nobody specializing in this business.
Well, technically, I don't. I'm just trying to help. I have the customers that say, hey, would you do this for me? And I'm like, sure. I can research with the best of them. And we shot the glass and it worked. I didn't know, we shot the board. Hey, evidently it's true, that kind of thing. And then you just got to build it right. So it was like I started out saying, it was just people that knew what Advantage Computers would do for them, thought, well, how can we go wrong? The guys they're honest, they do good work, let's give it a shot. So, and if you wanted us to do one, and say, hey, do one, let's see what the rest, I don't.
You mentioned several counties up front. Have you done work at all those counties?
Yes.
Or are they just work in process?
No, actually, all those that I mentioned are done. All have been done. And I'm heading to Woodson tomorrow. I'm meeting with commissioners there, same situation. And
my thought is, Jesse, is take it to the next step or next level, however you want it.
That'd be my fault for.
Just take it to the next level.
I don't think it's something we cannot do. You're not wanting to protect your employees from an active shooter. That's.
The only other thing I'd say to that, if you guys wanna move forward, is, we can't pretend to know how that office operates.
Right.
I think the decision, how it's set up ought to be their decision, not ours.
Because people gotta work.
We're not in there every day doing their job, so.
And I have no problem with that, Tom, to a point, but, we want to do it the right way.
Yeah, and what we usually run into is like we set some standards with the 6 feet apart. It's just, it is what it is. That's the going standard these days, to try to create some separation between, not only from the public's perspective as they're dealing with your employees, but also from the employee's perspective of being, of course, they're behind a wall and yada, 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 but anyways. So the less, I can definitely do some homework individually by department, because this doesn't have anything in the clerk in it. And the last time I was here a year ago, the treasurer was thinking about remodeling and doing the wall this and wall that, and there was I was like, that's a moving target for me. I don't know that I can.
That's why I asked that question.
Yeah.
It could be easily added on to or taken away from.
For sure. But it'd be going and visit with them and saying, this is our linear foot, this is what was quoted, there's a number out there, there's a semi-close drawing, you kinda have a perspective of what I'm talking about now. What do you want differently? And then I can amend that. And if it's, like I said, if we can shrink this and do that, we may not have to amend it at all.
I would say step 2 is meeting with each individual department in the
Yeah.
courthouse that's gonna be, you know, that's in here, and start firming up the numbers.
Allen County is the closest county for us probably to look, isn't it?
Well, no. Chautauqua's not very far, is it, Don? Yes, it is the closest one.
Allen's the closest to me, it's only 20 miles away.
Yeah, no, there's, you can look at the Fraser and, the Register of Deeds, and of course CSO. Those are the 2 latest, or 4 latest that I've done that are all, even with, we even put the, metal detectors in there for the CSOs, both of them, just so they know what's happening when somebody introduces themselves into their space. And they have a spot to put their stuff off. You know, we really think it through. So, guy walks in, they don't know what the guy's intent is. Set all your stuff right here. If you go in and it beeps, back yourself up. Keep emptying your pockets until you come to my window and there's no beeping going on with the bullet or the metal detector. And we've sold several metal detectors. So, but anyways.
Is that something you could do out in the lobby, put together
Oh, yeah. Sure.
a plan for the door downstairs?
Yeah, sure can. We've done
Who's
several.
gonna be there to police it?
Well, I mean, just to have an idea of what it would cost, and then that's another question.
We just did one. I mean, getting you that number is not a big deal. We just did one from Neosho County. I mean, just did, like, within a month. So.
I have a whole different perspective on this, because first of all, you can't put bubble wrap around everybody.
No, I agree.
Sometimes people have to take a little responsibility for their own protection. We can't protect everybody. I still like the idea that we look at the lobby down there. You keep people out of the building with the problems. You don't need to go to every building, every room and isolate it. And we're still forgetting 5 or 6 rooms in here. So we're telling half of our employees, you don't amount to anything, the other half, we're gonna keep you safe. But we're telling the other employees is, oh, we don't care about your safety. So.
Well, I only looked at the ones I was asked to.
Right,
I'd be glad to look at others.
But we as commissioner, that's what we're doing.
Right.
We're looking at these here that somebody asked you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the people, we're saying, we don't care about your safety.
Yeah.
But to me, if you keep people out of the building to start out with, mostly the problem, and it's not gonna be 100%, I don't care what you put up. But if we keep them out, it might be the best deal, and as Tom mentioned, there may be a lot of changes made in here if things go the way we want it to go in August. And that part would never have to change. If everything else changed, that part still wouldn't have to change.
Well, you obviously, I mean, like if you go up to Osage County, yeah, that's what they've done. And other counties have done the same thing, where you can't get in the building, without going through security. They've locked all the other doors and they have one entrance. And that entrance has, set your stuff on the conveyor belt. I mean, they're manned, or, you know, with the sheriff deputy. But
And I realize it's gonna cost a man, but the way we spend money in this county, as Jesse just said, what's it, a life worth?
Yeah. It's just a different strategy. We'll be glad to help in any way we can.
There's nothing wrong with looking at both options.
Sure. You can bury that up and say, okay, you can only get in here and every other door is locked at all times. And then, but like saying, you gotta have somebody there when the alarm goes off to do what? Do what with them? Well, if it's just going off and they're walking through, it's not gonna, I mean, you gotta put somebody on it. So it's a different strategy of defense. What is being presented to you today is defense that I'm behind something, they're coming. If we need to do more offices to provide that, that's sure doable. But I just would have to go to each one and say, okay, they're concerned about your safety, we want to put you behind, and
I have nothing wrong with what you're doing in your proposal. I think it's great that I just think that there's probably a different method that could possibly serve our purpose, and it may not cost everybody in the county an arm and a leg at the same time.
Sheriff Johnson suggested both avenues.
He did.
the defense of each office plus of the main walk-in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we asked him which would be more important, he said both.
Yep.
So, he wasn't,
It goes back to that, what's the life worth? You know?
well, and you're correct, if somebody intrudes and makes it past the first gate, at least you're deterring them at the second gate, so to speak, so.
We- Given a place for somebody to go until, the sheriff shows up.
Yeah.
But if we don't know the future of this building, maybe the place to start is the first deterrent instead of going to the second deterrent to start out with.
Well, I'm gonna assume that, if you did do a station down in the lobby, that would be a sooner as opposed to later, where you're saying this is 6 months out.
Well, it's not 6 months out, it's 6 months out for completion. I can get it started much sooner, unless, my anticipation is Woodson's gonna, I'm gonna be on Woodson here next week or two. Cause I've already been down, we already had, commissioners already been approached, all this stuff's kind of moving forward, and, that's probably gonna be my next project. And so this may get pushed back a little bit if that goes tomorrow, but it'll take me, from the point that I start, it'll take me 6 to 8 months to complete.
I see.
To get through the project, for sure. Because it's just with the 5 that are there.
I thought getting material was 6 months out.
No, well, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you when it'll show up, because I waited a while on a lot of things, and, you know, we used to, in the IT world, we used to be able to order 40 of anything or 100 of anything, and now we can order 4 and they make us span it over, 3 or 4 days. You can order another one, then another one, but everything's allocated and spoken for and reduced as far as availability. But to be clear, if I can get everything, if it's ordered within a relative amount of time where freight doesn't go up another $1,000, I think if I could start on it, get it on order, lock my supplier in, then they kind of have to say, okay, it'll show up at your door for X amount of dollars. I can honor the deal and just get it to me when you can. But if I had everything in my shop, it's a 6-month project, minimum.
Okay.
More information, individual office, check out the single access point options.
Well, like I said, Sheriff Johnson suggested all the above, so, in my opinion, I mean, if everybody wants to move forward with it, you kinda got a single source deal. I know Bob's opinion, I don't know if you wanna move forward, if you wanna move forward.
You're doing all opinions, but you're still leaving some offices and people out.
And I
Yeah,
agree to that, but by the same token, you get these in, and then we can go to the next offices and the next offices. Because I think even down in the basement, some of those places can be, looked at in a different angle, so to speak, for lack of better terminology, to where
Could just be a door.
it can just be the door,
Could just be a door only.
yeah.
Has
And
all
I know the reasoning behind these offices, because they're the most visited throughout the courthouse, so I would assume they'd be the ones that people.
See the disgruntled side.
Yeah.
More than
They see
anything.
more disgruntled citizens than the rest, but of course Bobby's, he's making everything right now.
Can we move forward on this and look at the single access, what that would cost, and also include that?
Sure. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at it. Not a problem and I think you got a really tall ceiling, so we'll have some structural things that'll have to be mitigated.
Yeah, I'm sure these ceilings have been lowered tremendously.
Well, I mean, out in the lobby, isn't
Out in the
that?
lobby.
Isn't that a 2-story?
Oh.
Yeah, so securing up to the top may be a little bit of I'll have to look at it.
I'm not sure you'd have to go that high, but.
Yeah, no, and there's no need to, because
Raise
From the
wire.
door.
Raise your wire.
That's what we're gonna make a.
I'm not sure we picked and choose the 5 offices. Have the other offices or departments in the county been asked, and are they aware of this proposal?
So,
the way this started was I was approached with, what is it gonna cost? So I reached out to Steve, had him come to the courthouse, and we walked down the hall, and then we ran out of time. So these were the offices that he went to. It wasn't to exclude anybody, but it was designed to at least get an idea and a ballpark of what the cost would be. But I will tell you also, not everybody was in favor of doing this, so I would suggest you talk to the department heads in each office. What are their thoughts and ideas about it right now? Some of them agreed to do it because it was just an estimate just to see what it would cost, but they weren't committed to the glass going up one way or another.
That happened in Allen too. We pitched all the offices, and the treasurer and the clerk were no bueno.
Yeah.
They didn't want to deal with it. Because it does disrupt the way things are set. You know, they're just, you put a wall in, you create a barrier. No, you know, it is what it is, but.
Well, I think each individual office discovery needs to be done.
Yep.
What is gonna be needed, so you can fine tooth it, I guess, so to speak. And we'll go from there.
As well as the,
As far as the main entry,
as well as.
the main entry, single source entry.
Okay.
I agree.
Yep.
I think so.
Okay, I'll revisit that by department, and we'll see who's in or out, and then I'll report back to you once I get those numbers. And since there's serious interest, I'll spend a little bit more time on the drawings and of what the end result will be, and then we'll go from there.
Very well.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks,
Thanks
Steve.
for coming, Steve.
I can share that. Economic Development, Bobby Skipper, 1025, for late.
Yes, sir. That's fine. And if I get tagged because of no bulletproof glass, I don't think that's gonna be the issue. As Tom said, somebody's probably just gonna knock me in the head on the way out the door. But, and my office is not one that I'm in favor of having that protection. But you know, I want people to come in. I don't want to, but I understand where it makes sense in other departments. On the agenda request items, I'd like to move the middle one, the cell phone, discussion of cell phone plan, up to the first discussion. It is essentially just my cell phone that I'm speaking about. It reads as if I'm talking about the entire county, but so I've spoken with some of the other departments. They have different needs, just like this glass issue or this security issue. US Cellular is what I currently have. I got that when I came in, and I do a lot of talking on the phone, as you can imagine, a lot. But over time, this US Cellular plan, without saying something negative about US Cellular, I'm getting lots of messages and texts and pictures that I do not need to be getting, and it's becoming, the volume has increased tenfold. So if I showed you my phone today, I probably already have 20-something messages. I've called and asked, why is this happening? It's essentially because this particular carrier, US Cellular, sells their customers' numbers to third-party marketing people. So I went to Angie, asked what I could do, if I could swap phone carriers. She said that she is not in charge of it, but she was on, the clerk, the sheriff's plan, so with Verizon. So I called Verizon and said, well, then I went back down to Andrea. She's the administrator of the US Cellular plan, and I asked her. She said, I'm having the same problems. I understand what you're talking about. And the service is not good for me either, FYI. Just if I leave the paved road, or if I head south at all, I'm zero service. So Andrea said she was okay with me looking into the Verizon things. I called Verizon, find out it's actually cheaper to swap to Verizon. And the coverage, from talking with different people who are on this Verizon plan, coverage is way better, and it's cheaper. As far as the people who are still on US Cellular, have not spoken with all of them. I still have 2 or 3 left, but they might also be interested in converting to Verizon. I don't know. And I know some of them will not be. I talked with the county engineer. He said that their thing is, if they're off, US Cellular is good for them in the furthest extents of the county. If they're on a, dirt road down there in Gridley, US Cellular is better than Verizon, he says. So they're happy with what they have. But for me, for different reasons, I would like to swap services, and it's not a big to-do. It's just essentially me just signing a piece of paper. It's not obligating the county or anything.
Could you switch over to the sheriff's office plan and not have to have any new agreement?
I thought about that. Now, this is the deal. If we do this, if the other people that, inside the courthouse at least, who are on US Cellular might want to swap over too, I think it would be good to have a separate in-house Verizon plan. I don't want to, reason is I know how the sheriff, he's busy. I don't want to have to call him and say, hey, need this little so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
And him to have to fool with that. It'd be easier. There's no extra paperwork for the county. There's no, as far as Verizon is concerned, it's still the same account, but you just have a
different location.
Yeah.
I heard here this last week, and it won't make any difference probably the way, because mobiles everybody is. I'd understood the US Cellular office here in Burlington's shutting down.
I heard the same.
The office will be shut down, but that's...
Yes, sir. I've heard the same, and I will go ahead and confirm it. They are. And it's not the service, it's not the local owner who is pulling the plug, it's US Cellular.
Pulling the dealership out of here.
Right. The retail store.
Bobby, you have issues along I-35 with USL.
When I get close to Gardner,
Yes.
absolutely.
What about going to Emporia?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
I mean, anything.
Neosho Rapids, Badger Creek Bridge.
Yeah.
Lebo.
Oh, it's done, yeah. Lebo's out of the question.
Yeah, I just received I think it was Saturday evening, a text that was unknown number, and that's on Verizon. So it's starting to come across on Verizon as well, just FYI. Text and picture, and so I just blocked. I just said, nope, don't need that done.
It gets to the point where I'm spending 30 minutes a day blocking. It has
numbers.
no impact.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. We don't need stuff like that, I don't have a problem changing. I think we see if we maybe just want to discontinue as many, or put as many on this plan as possible to maybe get a discount.
Road and Bridge, everybody has their own phones anyway, and I'm sure they're not all on the same thing down there.
Right.
Because we see where we pay these stipends every 3 months, so I don't know what going on Road Bridge is, but, and if they're using county phone, I guess it's our call, like what we use as a county. I mean, somewhere, we don't have a little authority somewhere in this county.
So this was, talked about an approach, the Verizon versus, if you remember, a quote was provided by Verizon, but the issue with Verizon and the sheriff's plan is it is specific to a law enforcement purpose. And that's the issue of adding people on now. The question might be asked, why is the county clerk on? Well, the county clerk's on because shutting down this building, the clerk is a vital component to that. So the road and bridge, whoever that person is in that position, because they're out on the roads, they have to, but the supervisors. So that's the trick there. Each of you would be vital because you make those decisions, and if there's a disaster scenario, then you're making decisions and you'll need to have coverage. And the way it was described to me, if you remember, if something happened to the national level, the president's always gonna have access, and then it filters down. So you would have, I think it's a tier 1 response is what it would be, and that's why the sheriff's plan is different. Now, I don't know what the plan would be that Bobby's talking about.
Wade is correct. So the sheriff's plan is emergency management, channel plan, where they have I don't know if they refer to it as tier 1 or whatever, but there's emergency, they get first call on emergency.
Their frequency has priority.
Yeah.
Well, I've been all around this county with Verizon. I've had Verizon for umpteen flipping years, and I don't have any problem with it. You know, sometimes it's a blessing when it doesn't work, but, you know, it works too good. So.
Up until 2 years ago, about the only one that worked towards the southeast part of the state was U.S. Cellular, on a consistent basis. But that's been a couple of years ago, and that's probably been corrected.
Yes, sir.
I'd suggest getting some quotes and what number of phones would go on the Verizon plan, because if you have a pocket that have the other service with U.S. Cellular, and then you have 3 plans. In fact, you probably would have more than that, because I know there's another department that has their own plan. And there needs to be a central plan and a central point of contact for that plan, because and I don't want to go into any more details about that than I need to, but there was a problem internally that, with the cell phone plan, and I'll just leave it at that. So
I'm with Wade. I'd be fine. I've already done all the paperwork and set everything up. I didn't realize they pulled my credit, so county's got 20 authorized for 20 something new phones if you want them, but it's already done. All you got to do is just say yes. Haven't done anything yet, and I agree with Wade. There needs to be. I prefer there be a central administrator for all plans.
Sounds to me like does a little more discovery.
See how many phones we're going to
and come back to us.
Sure. Do that.
We'll probably be here this afternoon if you get that list together quick.
Inside the courthouse, you don't have that many phones. I mean, you just have a few. I'm one of 6, maybe, I think, outside the sheriff's department. The second thing I would like to bring up, and thank you, commissioners, for talking about that. A few weeks ago, the commissioners met with some people proposing to put industries here in Coffee County. My intention is on talking about as much as I can talk about openly. I want to articulate where I want to go with this open discussion. I want to be able to, because the county has a lot of irons in the fire. As commissioners, you have a lot of irons in the fire. And as far as anything the commission may do, however good it is, I'm going to try to bring the taxpayer, the voter, along with us in this discussion. Weeks ago, the commissioners met with a few people who might put industries in Coffee County, and the discussion was where at and how much will it cost, and there is I asked the engineers to do some discovery and find out how much per acre it would cost to develop today Site A, which is our airport, and Site B, which is another site somewhere here in the county. But Site A, the cost came in higher. I was anticipating a higher construction cost because I kind of had already looked into it a little bit. Not much higher. So about $9,000 an acre. It's more than that, but at the airport, and which is Site A, about $7,000 per acre at Site B. Now, I asked all kinds of questions from the engineer. One of them is how many developable acres is at the airport? If you take into account the flight path, the no-fly zone, which is also the no-build zone. You can't build but certain height at the airport, period. In addition, taking into account all the floodplain area and wetlands at the airport. So out of the total 700 plus acres you own out there, you can develop about 350 of it. So we know where that's at. Now there's a line of developable acres we can target. Between the last time we spoke, I was, as you understand, I have intentions to do more than just accommodate 2 or 3 industries. I'd love for the county to be in position to accommodate many industries in the future. And that's an ongoing thing. But at the airport, I was surprised. One of the people you spoke to called back and said they definitely want to be at the airport, which is kind of what I think they told you then. So I'm in process now of refining those costs. And the airport, the water capacity is good. The city of Burlington, ironically, has pretty strong water capacity. So they could provide the water. What I'm anticipating is trying to provide these people who are talking with the county about putting industries here. I want to give them solid, we can do this if you do this. I don't want to obligate the county, but what I do want to give them is real solid numbers on can we provide you shovel-ready dirt if you do move forward. And so I'm still going down that path. In addition to the airport, there's 2 more entities that would like to speak with the commissioners. That's coming up on the 14th and 15th. These are separate from the ones you've already spoken to, who also, along the same lines of the others that you've spoken to, have similar interests here at Coffee County. So, assuming that we just got real lucky and landed a bunch of new businesses, they would be at both sites. Some of them have to be at Site B, some of them prefer to be at Site A. The advantage at Site A is you already own the dirt, which is a good thing. In all these scenarios, these people are talking about paying us. They're not talking about freebies. They're willing to pay. They just don't have the technical wherewithal to bring all the infrastructure together to a site.
Nor the time.
Right. So that's on us. If we can provide it, we'll know if we can or not. And that's the direction I'm heading down.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but 3 or 4 years ago, we just spent $25,000 with a firm to do something on the airport, and I have never seen any results from it.
Yes, sir.
To me, it was just $25,000 we handed somebody, because I've never seen anything from it.
That was in Emporia State, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't Emporia?
No, it was BG Consultants.
Yes, sir. I do have copies of what they provided. They never got to pass the point of discussion. As I've told a few of you, my big thing with engineers is they do a bunch of talking, and they bill you. You know, I want them to do stuff, and I understand. But that's what they did with the airport. It was just
So there should be a little something out there.
There is. And we still have it, what they produced, which I'll provide you before you leave today. In that same discussion, one of the other things on the back end is, what if we did locate a bunch of jobs tomorrow? Let's just say we got lucky and got a bunch of people wanting to move to Coffee County. Well, we still have that same issue we butt our heads against of housing. This is my 3rd agenda item I'd like to talk about. We've been talking about housing, independent of anything else. We need housing. With no new jobs in Coffee County today, we need housing today. Every home that comes on the market within reason is sold within a day or 2. The city of Waverly, months back, I had a big blow up with a few communities over infrastructure money, and Waverly might go on, but it was they have this HEX edition that the city bought a long time ago, and they started to develop it, but they never fully developed it. They did it just like most people on the chief, and only achieved about 10% fulfillment. Now, the city of Waverly, people coming to council meetings saying, please, I want to buy a lot. And the city says, yes, absolutely, we'll sell you a lot for $1. But then the person goes and gets an estimate, and the contractor tells them, well, it's going to be an extra 80 or 90 grand just to get the road extended, and people just can't afford that. The bankers will not finance that. So, also during that time, the politics have changed, I think, a little bit in regards to the disposition of Waverly. The mayor reached out recently, and along with some council members, and started to tell me they were willing to expend some of their own money and go down the path of developing the rest of this Hex Edition. And at the same time, we were talking about, I think it was at one of the meetings you were at with me, Mr. Bob, Commissioner Bob, that we were talking about this RHID program and how that works. Well, so where we're at right now, this sheet of paper, the mayor of Waverly, along with a few of the council members, we've discussed possibly developing the rest of the Hex Edition, where we, like as you see on this paper, just for discussion purposes, we may develop 30 lots. We may run roadway through the fullest extent of the site and develop at 30 new lots. Every 30 lots in Coffee County is worth about 100 grand, and every 30 new homes is worth about 100 grand to the county, and about 20 grand to the city and 20 grand to the school. What I'm proposing is we do the same thing here, that the county and or the city of Waverly, and the city of Waverly is willing to do this, whether they got to borrow the money or do it themselves. They want to build out the infrastructure. So let's say that costs $1 million. So then, before they spend the $1 million to do this, they contractually obligate, or we do, the county, 15 homes to be built up front. That's the difference between just developing land from what other people have done. Hutchinson, Kansas, they had a big industry coming in. City got all excited, went out and spent like $5 million and built 100 new lots. But they didn't build any homes. Well, whatever, that business didn't come. And the city's got 100 lots out there that are undeveloped. Or there's no homes on it. It's developed, there's just no homes on it. So we don't want that. So what we're doing that's unique about what we're doing, we will contractually obligate home builders up front to build a certain number of homes that recovers our investment on the tax level. In addition to that, let's say it was the county or the city of Waverly, or a combination of both, that spent $1 million up front. They would assess that back to each of these 30 lots. And in the scenario where we spend $1 million, there'd be $1,300 per year assessed back to each lot, amortized over 25 years. So the taxpayers getting their money back, again, no matter whether the city of Waverly does it or the county, and we have 15 new homes being built. Just a while ago, I just left the banker's office, and he is going to issue me a letter of credit, or guarantee, for one of the people who works with him, one of his clients, who is a home builder, who will obligate to build 7 homes here. So that's half the way there. All we need is another 7 homes. Can we sell 15 homes in Waverly? We don't know, but I'm definitely certain we'll sell a majority of them before they even get finished. This is a program I'm pitching in whatever capacity the county participates, whether it's helping Waverly up front with the infrastructure costs, or whether it's just acting as a facilitator. I prefer to be involved and keep it, make sure that it happens right. If left to their own devices, people normally take the path of least resistance and do things on the cheap. You know, I think if we do this inside the county, not just here in Waverly, but other places too, if we're successful, that we have covenants and restrictions inside these developments, like deed restrictions that say a neighbor, like if you build a house out there, Commissioner Johnson, you can't buy up the next 2 lots next to you. That's defeating the whole purpose.
Yeah.
We need,
That's already happened.
right.
How big are these individual lots, Bobby?
Don't know, probably less than an acre a piece, close to an acre. Each
An
lot.
acre would be a half a square block, so they're probably smaller than that, really.
Yes, sir.
Decent sized lots, then.
Since this project, since it's the only one we have in our hand, if we're talking about this, I prefer that the city, since it is in the city, take the lead in it.
Yes,
And
sir.
all we could, but I'm not opposed to us helping them, supporting them, but I don't want the county to go in, because we've always said the cities are the cities.
Yes, sir.
I don't want the county to start going in and saying, whoa, we're gonna take over in your city and tell you what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do.
Yes, sir.
But I'm not against helping them. And I will say this, the mayor at Waverly is really involved and really looking forward to doing a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
But like I said, I don't want the county to go in and be the leader. I want the city to be the leader.
Absolutely.
If we can help them, we can help them. But
Yes, sir. I think, so on that note, I believe this is the perfect scenario to do what you're saying. I think Jacob is a natural leader, their mayor, and I think that he is technically competent, and also competent about the big picture, how the banking works, how the local government works, and also the construction side, which is important. How all this actually needs to be laid out when he sits down and plats it out, and so he's the perfect person to take lead. Yes, sir. The city is. And we've also, in a separate meeting, remember, we've involved the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission. They are, if we move forward in this, they would also assist in that lead structure where they package everything. They have the relationships back and forth between the home builder and the city and the county and the whoever else is involved. But yes, sir.
the cities are a member of the Southeast Kansas also, so
Yes,
they
sir.
can work with them just as well as we can work with them.
Yes, sir.
So that's not a problem.
Yes, sir.
And the city of Waverly already own the property we're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, sir. They could sell the lots for $1. That's what they're proposing.
You know, there's a housing development there to the southwest of it. That's one that started 12, 15, 18 years ago.
Yes.
And those lots are about half full.
Yep.
I ain't been west of Waverly for a long time.
Well, that's still part of the Hex subdivision. then.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
all-
that's still part of the
Yeah,
original Hex.
it's
That's the only thing that
all of it.
really
That's
hid
how it-
anything.
Yes.
Because there's not a road access or, anything, there's nothing out there in that addition, in that
It's a hayfield.
addition. It's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no road, there's no utilities, there's no nothing.
Basically, it's crop ground right now.
And it's your responsibility as a builder, if you wanna buy a lot, it's your responsibility to get the road there and get all the utilities there.
Yeah.
And you can't
Financially.
financially do it.
Yeah.
So,
Even if
here's the property, we'll give it to you, but you're gonna build the infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah.
One guy left because of that.
Yeah.
I see no sense why we couldn't help get it in and then they can give away the lots and we just get our money back, but Richard's got it.
So, if you consider if you get a bank involved, the bank isn't gonna do it just for the fun of it. And so it's gonna cost a lot more if we're loaning money through the bank, or borrowing money from the bank to do this. I believe that even, in spite of, hopefully, building a new jail complex, that we could come up with $1 million for people going down this corridor to help develop that's getting paid back. And it wouldn't be that burden. I mean, we generated all of this money for a purpose. Granted, part of it is we're looking out for the future when Wolf Creek shuts down. We don't know if it's gonna happen next week, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. But bringing in industry and having the homes in place
will help offset the issues with that. So if we can invest that back in there and develop that corridor, which is where everybody is building, I mean, just Kansas City going down to Gardner, pretty soon Ottawa's growing, it's coming this direction. So if we can't just fund this as best we can, as Bob said, let them run point, but hey, we have $1 million for you. Hey, Lebo, we have $1 million for you. Hey, that would help each community to have basically a no-interest loan to get this done. We're getting paid back over 25 years. I don't think that would be any issue for our budget.
My thought has always been, I've always wanted to give the cities more infrastructure money, but that kinda got shot down, but.
You wanna make sure it's handled the correct way.
This is
But,
a
so,
directed
well,
piece that would be,
my second pitch was to just, if they get a project worthwhile, we just match dollar for dollar. You put the $1 million, they put in 500, we put in 500, we still don't get our money back, and we're still not at we're not out $1 million for 25 years, we're out 500,000 for 25 years. as well
right,
as
but
the
I'm not
city.
sure that the smaller communities can foot $500,000.
Well, I mean, if they come to us and say, we've only got, and we need to develop this, and we got 250 we can put towards it, then.
I don't know that they have that. Between, and that's a big issue with being on the council out in Newstrong. I mean, it's, you know, the different pieces of equipment, pumps for the water. They're rat holding money as well to pay for those things, but they don't even have enough for that. So how are they gonna commit more money to building?
And I haven't seen the balance sheet on any city in a while, maybe
I
they don't have it, so, I mean.
And that's why I'm saying, let them run point. We definitely have a piece in there and can say, look, this is dedicated this direction. I mean, I don't know what your total task is in this, but I would rather see tax money used and have it available for each community that way, as opposed to, again, just continuing to put it somewhere that it's not gonna make any money anyway.
It'll come back to us, I mean.
Every 30 homes in the county is worth $100,000. I can show you on the tax, you prepared it for me, Richard. We took a sample survey of different homes in the county. Every 30 homes, on average, is worth about $100,000 to the county.
Decent homes, I mean, we're not talking.
200 plus.
I would rather see, let's go, if you're gonna go talk to city, instead of us sitting here saying, well, we're gonna give you this much money if you do this. Let's see what they really need.
Yes, sir.
Instead of course, if we sit here and say, we're gonna give you this much, they're gonna say, okay, well,
We need $2 million.
you just said now, we're gonna do this, so, yeah.
And there's another piece to it too. We want homes built.
Ask them what they need.
We don't want this development of land. We want homes built.
Ask them what they need, what they would maybe need from us.
Yes, sir. We do that.
I know we usually see a balance sheet at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
February, March, we start getting those. But-
Yeah,
But Andrew could supply us a balance sheet on all 6 cities, so.
I think maybe Richard said that, maybe that part is somewhat irrelevant, but.
Right, but the way you get this structured looks to me like the best way. If they need homes, and that's how we're gonna get our money back anyway, is homes. It's not like we're just going to build new roads, but it has to be something that's gonna be built upon and generate more tax revenue.
Makes sense to me.
Just discussion up to this point. I just want to bring it up. It plays into the industry conversation, the everything. And the neat thing about Cedar Waverly, they're ready to go. And I met with the mayor after last week. It was last Friday. He came into the office and he's again reiterated he's ready to go. He's so maybe he comes to the commissioners, or maybe one of the commissioners go to the next council meeting. He'll be talking about it with his council. It'd be a good test for us too. How many homes can we fit today? If they were available, how many homes will sell? We don't want to overbuild and dilute a market, but we certainly want to.
There's a line out, there's a number out there that is needed.
Yeah.
And Southeast Kansas is still working on that study, right?
Yes, sir. They're headed down the path with the housing study. It's going to tell us, give us a better idea of which communities need how many homes and at what value per home.
But if you're gonna bring in industry, first thing is, can we fit there? You know, do they have the infrastructure? Next is, Do we have a place to put people, or what people can we draw from?
Mhm.
Yeah. Either one of those isn't any good, and they're not coming.
Well, we've only got people to draw from once they have the education, because 85% of our seniors are leaving the county.
Yes, sir.
There's not an opportunity for them to be employed here, so it's not a double-edged sword, but you gotta go down 2 or 3 different paths at one time,
Yes, sir.
and housing is a part of it.
Yes, sir.
Training for our graduate students, too many of them leaving the county. So that's a problem with rural America.
Yeah.
They're leaving, it's just not Coffee County.
Yes, sir.
Try to keep them here.
Mhm.
That's right.
It looks to me like there needs to be a lot more discovery done on this.
Of course.
I met Jacob at a meeting here 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he seems like somebody that really wants to get involved and make things happen
Yes, sir.
for Waverly as well as the county.
Yes, sir. Which is a change from the way it has been there. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for talking through this. I will bring an update.
Okay.
Okay.
Very well. Let us know on the phone issue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a important thing.
We need to do this resolution before we dump.
We'll have to know what
Thank you.
resolution number is, and I think Wade's probably gonna present it.
Okay. I just didn't wanna, since
I
it's
think
laying
it's
here. I didn't
gonna be
want-
like 880.
885, I think, the next
885?
one. I think it's 885.
I
We
think
wanna-
so.
We
I
wanna
don't
make
have
sure it's
access
right,
to
because we
the-
don't wanna have to resend it.
Yeah, we have a spreadsheet, so it should have the
The
updated
next
number.
Okay.
So that's why he wants those back, and he said it was expensive to print those.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why he only printed one set.
Because of all the paint, all the color,
Yeah.
Okay.
lose a lot of ink.
Mhm.
I can stand a 10-minute break real quick. We got anything else? Anybody else? Anything? Going on?
Round table, the only thing I know, plus
Yep.
finishing up all this.
Yeah, we got all this.
It looks like coffee, the road and bridge is fairly short
Yeah.
this week.
I don't know, we need a 10-minute break or a 5-minute break?
Sure.
5-minute break?
Whatever, take a break, take.
Take a break. Okay. Oh, I can use my telephone.
Hold on, I'll think how many days I can do.
You got all your signs out yet? I was in Waverly Thursday, I heard Frank Brandon all day. A lot of Steve's sign on the main.
He hit the south end.
The main street in town, he's got a lot of signs.
Yeah. I don't know how it'll turn out. Yeah, it is.
Not talking very many folks.
No, no. It kind of depends on the wind.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I was looking at the race, I think the last election was only 370.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey.
Got 4 people running, that's. You're winning a whole lot of ground.
I think it's that way.
Does Jesse have the check stone?
I think they will.
You know?
I assume.
I gotta pull them out. It's gonna get voided.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna get voided. I gotta reissue.
You don't have to do it. If those would have there's very few, you can hire out, those are more against working hours for. Well, if you're full-time, you do have to have somebody for business, I mean, you can get retired. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's more money, there's more money. You have to pay somebody to be there. There's more of it. But, how you doing? How you doing? I mean, you're talking. You're not hardening this facility, you're not hardening the access. Because this facility costs you billions to harden. So I'll tell you what, that's what we're gonna do. Tear this court down. Easy what you're talking about. Some of the things that they come up. To me, that's most sense if we and protecting everyone. I had some other questions about this. Really guess about the 223 with this. I don't want to know what's, because if we're scenarios, that computer mostly is can't get it 223, so yes.
They haven't messaged me about her yet. So.
Okay.
I would want to know, does it or
Right
doesn't?
here, just so you know.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
actually-
I didn't want to sign in if you were.
Yeah, no, I accidentally.
Oh, well, maybe she's over her $9 or something.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
But I did also have a question, is the camera or soft spot in the protection?
Let me see, I need to.
The wall comes up and you got the counter on top of that, so your bolts goes right, where's the counter? You got the counter. So is that soft area that anything can go through or not? Do the employees have a way to bolt the door from the inside? The access point is through scan key and they shoot the lock and then just open the door down? I mean, these are just questions. I mean, does the employee have an emergency by the end, does it go, and it bolts the door?
But we're bringing that, jail, ricochet in an office.
I mean, it's an interesting product, I couldn't see all the stuff you guys had, so, but well, we didn't really have much. I mean, if you want to save money on glass, don't put glass everywhere, but glass, wall, glass. Morning.
I'm gonna sneak behind you here.
Why do you gotta go behind?
Because I'm still hunting the rail.
Oh, okay. You can have full access to the.
All right, thanks.
Prices, it's irritating for the end of that record.
It is, you know, him and his wife, all that been involved with.
You bet.
And you know where you're serving. One thing
That include, that did our agenda, didn't it?
That is the agenda. I don't know how much there is in roundtable, I don't have any idea whether Wade's got anything in roundtable or not.
Well, we're gonna have that resolution, and I'm sure there's something else.
I don't wanna get those.
I don't know if we've got any more applications in on the road, bridge or not, we need to,
I can go check real fast.
we need to get something.
Attorney back there. And I'll check on that resolution numbers.
Okay.
We need to get something set up on these interviews.
There were no road and bridge acquisitions.
What's the next number?
Should be 885.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna-
I was thinking that last one was 84.
Well, I don't have road, but I can't work with it. But on business, you agree. Good long.
Fresh out in.
Several meetings with those.
And they're all but you, Rob. No, but me, I guess. I didn't see Jesse slip through.
Lightning fast.
Phil's just down to signing stuff.
Yes, sir. We got one more thing, it's a resolution, but it's very minimal.
Sure. I'll get hungry. Thank
I'd go eat lunch. Yep, it gets pretty boring after this.
It's pretty exciting so far.
These guys won't do you good, but if you wanna try to bribe me, you can just go get me lunch, if you wanna try to buy a vote.
I guess you are still in, we haven't run you out.
No, but I will be, I can be a vote.
You could be.
I will be a vote for
So
somebody.
you do vote?
I do vote,
Okay.
oh, yes.
Well, maybe we'll look into that.
Never missed an election in my life,
There you go.
that I'm aware of.
See, Schmidt Construction stayed on the 26,000 for the tear down of the building. There wasn't any change orders on more money because of all the concrete.
He usually trying to stick to his Mike's a pretty good old boy, he's been around here for
Long time.
a long time.
What, did they get it seeded or just get it leveled out?
He just got it leveled out.
That's all good.
Oh, it does. That was no little job removing the extra concrete.
There's a lot of extra concrete there.
He squealed a little bit, but it wasn't bad.
I don't blame him.
He ran the same thing up there at the car wash. In that old Mexican restaurant.
When concrete was cheap.
They used it.
You know, that's almost better concrete, a lot of it had old river gravel in it. You cannot stick a diamond blade in that stuff.
That's tough,
It'll eat it.
Eat it up.
you know, we say concrete's, you know, it was cheap at one time. Has it really kept up with inflation, Tom? The value, the cost of has it really kept up with inflation?
Oh, yeah.
You think it has?
$137.50 a yard right now.
That's the way inflation's been the last
Or
25 years.
$135.51 too.
Last 25 years, has it? I didn't know what it fully
When I
kept
first
up.
started 27 years ago, you could buy it for $40 a
I'd
yard.
say it'd be close to 50.
Yeah, I think when I built my house, it was $25 a yard when I poured my basement, so it's been 30-some years ago.
Dad thought it was high at 30.
At 100. And what they do now is they tell you it's 130 a yard if you bid a job, but if diesel's this, it's so much per load. If diesel's that, it's this per load.
Fuel surcharge.
And on the price of fuel.
So is there still Payless Concrete down to the south? Is it still functioning? Really? I think this goes in that. White. What in the world?
I think that's for the HSAs,
Says HSA reissue,
so every
employees.
July 1st, anybody that has an HSA, the county
Okay.
goes in.
We're getting 3/16 aluminum sheets cut for one.
Bet that wasn't cheap.
Well, it was out of hand seal, it was $2,400.
Yeah, for one sheet.
I have no idea, I just wondered what it, curiosity. Just doesn't matter, it's done. We owe it.
We can always ask.
Well, what are they repairing?
But it's not shop everybody.
like these under their ball. This is the last to the courthouse.
That's a lot of money right there.
200,000 here.
Yeah, 214.
Yep.
Is it checked on the county, or is it just one by itself?
Do it one by itself.
One by itself.
She gave me. itself.
That didn't take you long on that.
Nope. Tim, you want any more coffee?
I'm fine.
Don?
I'm good.
Okay, there's just a little splash left in, I'll shut it off.
Casey, on this, health savings account,
Mm-hmm.
everybody single is 1,800, family is 3,650, except for the very last one, and the single is 1,950. Why would that be?
I can ask.
You would.
Let me go ask Terry,
Okay.
'cause I am not sure.
Who, I think, just left a while ago.
Oh, well, maybe Jessica will know. I don't know.
Just curious.
You rang?
Hey, Wade.
Are you still here?
Yeah.
Still got your bodyguard with you, don't you?
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to present the resolution while
We need
or
a-
you wanted to wait for roundtable. What do you got for roundtable?
We can stop.
Yeah, we can stop.
We
doing
can
what we're
stop
doing.
just anytime.
I don't really have anything. I wanted to make sure I told you I'd have this for you, and I gave you the info on the, Advantage computers, so.
Right.
That needed to move forward. Christina, Dietrich, myself, and Angie are meeting on Wednesday, for the policy manual, so I know that's been a topic.
Did she get anywhere with that real-time pay?
I
Time
think-
clock and all that
I
stuff?
think just trying to get the policy manual out is the first thing. She's trying to get hammered out, am I right?
I know we had the real-time pay discussion back in
Last time we
March and April, so.
Last time they talked about that real time, she made a comment it could happen sometime later in the year without being an issue.
Yeah.
I haven't heard nothing on it for 3 or 4 months probably.
Yeah, I don't know where things ended, whether that was gonna be real-time pay and time clock, or just real-time pay. I mean, I thought doing real-time pay using that program, and then later if you wanted to institute the time clock, but, I mean, I don't have an opinion either way.
So he just started, we owed him a month of insurance, so that $150 was prorated, added to that.
Okay.
Here, Bob, let me show you another one. I had a question on. That's a family plan on Bobby Skipper, is that right?
Looks like it.
Is he still married? Or got
Kids?
We,
You got kids, or lives here?
Okay. Which would make it right.
we will need a resolution number for this, and just,
885.
oh, you already got it?
Good, one step ahead of you.
Yeah, well, that's good. So, this has sort of been in the works for a while. This is a resolution, the mutual agreement for county line maintenance, and it's county line maintenance between, Coffee County and Arbonia Township, which is in Osage County. Osage County operates differently than Coffee County, as their townships are responsible for the maintenance of the roads in the township. So it covers, I don't know what period of road or what distance of road, but I think what it does is alternator shift who is ultimately responsible. So, and it's up on where you are on the county
North
line.
County line.
Cover that first 2 miles east of Lyon
East.
County.
No, it'd be the first 2 miles east of Hoke, changing Arbonia Township from doing the first 2 miles of Hoke Road, or northeast of Hoke Road, to them doing 2 miles west of Hoke Road and
Yeah, we're
Coffee
doing-
County, the 2 miles.
And we're doing the next 2 or 3.
Yeah, and then we do the next onto the Lyon County line.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that would be the resolution that gets signed or approved by the board, but it will also need to be signed or approved by the board for Arbonia Township, for it to be, fully, I guess, a complete document. So obviously on this side, this is where you have the say-so, and
Do I hand carry this to the Arbonia Township trustee?
do you know who that is?
Well, I believe Rob Atchison is one of them.
Okay, I don't have names, so that's why that's blank, but they'll need to vet it on their end.
Okay.
And, I think on this end, you can approve it, and then it can go up there, and
Motion to approve resolution number 885, resolution of mutual agreement for county line maintenance. Board of County Commissioners of Coffee County, Kansas, and the Board of Trustees, Arbonia Township of Osage County, Kansas, find it mutually beneficial to enter into an agreement concerning the maintenance of common roads along their respective joint county line. It's in my area, I'll move.
All second.
Been moved by Jesse, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? I think we've had several discussions. We had, Arvonia Township come in and beg and plead for help. And this was probably the best solution to help. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Do you have the original?
Yes, I've got the original right here.
Last time you wrote on it.
I know.
That's why I was,
Oh, you checking?
that's why I didn't write on mine.
Approved on, what is today, the
27.
27. Day of June.
Are you going all the way through, signing checks and vouchers, or are you gonna take a break?
Oh, we're about
No,
done.
we're going all the way
We'll probably
through.
roll on through.
Okay. I'll have, now that I think about it, now that I've had time to probably think, 10-minute executive session, don't have to do it exactly right now, unless you want to.
You're here. We get that
Take a
signed, we
break,
might as
yeah.
well.
Do different.
Bobby, you got something?
This, Mr. Bob asked for.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess there is, yeah. I didn't realize there was several.
Did you get a copy?
No, we'll share.
Yep.
Oh.
Thank you.
That would help.
I was like, I got some signatures.
Oh, this, okay, this is back, yeah.
This is the airport, yeah. So the checkered area is the no-fly, no-build?
Yes,
Very good.
generally, that's not real precise, but generally, yes.
Wonder if there's ever gonna make make a potential another runway there?
There is plans for that.
Okay, that's what, it looked like it would possibly be another runway.
Yes.
We got a copy for Tim?
I didn't have one, I don't think there's enough for everybody.
Oh, okay.
So that's everything that was there. Oh, that's infrastructure plan, so all that needs to be transportation, water.
Documentation you got from that firm that was hired and.
That's from what BG Consulting did back in
Correct.
2019.
Right.
So what I've asked CFS engineers to do recently is to do a more actual engineering, give us specific data. You know, that is good and everything, what you're looking at now is just talking.
This is $25,000 right there.
The comment on this deal says we paid $12,240. Are we out 25,000 or are we out 12,240?
Technically, we still owe them money.
I'm sorry?
Technically, we still owe them, what, $7,000?
Well, they billed us for 18,000, we paid 12,240, so it's not 25.
Or 5,000, we owe them
Yeah.
5,500.
They must have forgot about it.
Well,
Maybe they didn't complete the project or what they were
Maybe
trying
they
to
did.
do.
That's why we never did get anything from it.
Yeah. Because right now, we're out 12,240, so.
Yes, sir.
Which would be nice to see a complete detailed report.
Yes, sir. So you'll have that shortly.
And so this document is all we received for the 12,240.
Yes, sir.
This is over 3 years old.
At least we got something and help next person get along, hopefully get down.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Hopefully you can use some of this, so we,
Yes, sir.
Bobby, I have heard on the radio that there was money appropriated for the discovery of raw materials for defense in along the eastern half of Kansas. Do we know what they are looking for?
Defending us from Missouri.
No.
Gallium nitride.
Is that what they're trying to find?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to see what gallium nitride consists of.
We'd all do better looking it up on Google, but it is a aluminum alloy type substance, a metal alloy, not aluminum. In its natural state, it's a chemical compound produced in a beaker tube. But in its physical state, it is a conductive material similar to gold or silver to use in soldering in applications like your phone, any electronic device, missile systems, whatever. And China has the market cornered on silver, and gold is obviously very expensive. So this gallium nitride substance is being produced here in the U.S. now, or they're trying to.
Trying to find the raw materials for it.
Yes, sir.
I've heard that on the radio after our meeting.
Tied in.
Yeah, and so I was like, what in the world they're trying to find? And it didn't dawn on me. I thought the gallium nitride was something that was man-made. But you have to have something to.
There is a raw component to it.
There is a raw material that you need.
It is also not a material that can be put on a train or on a truck and shipped across the nation. It has to be produced and immediately be put on a computer board.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be transported, so that wherever it's made, you'll have all your factories sitting around it.
Interesting.
Good to see that we're doing some of that instead of depending on China for
Yeah,
the new box.
We need
No,
more of.
not yet.
All right.
We need more of
Had me worried for a
homegrown,
minute.
American-made stuff instead of China.
I think that's where a lot of, luckily, some corporations are headed.
I hope so.
I hope so. We need to get back to that.
Back to the USA made.
You know, that one trip I took up to New York, there was a little town called Little Falls, actually upstate New York, and it was along the Erie Canal, and I can't remember the name of the river, but, they had these huge buildings along the river that actually, back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, they made things.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 stories, these huge buildings. Nothing.
Nothing there.
Just nothing.
Just amazing buildings.
Huge, very beautiful buildings.
Yeah, I bet they were a fantastic building.
You can see the foundations go clear down the river's edge.
This is Road and Bridge, just starts here.
Okay.
Pretty
See
We're not done yet.
Okay.
I just stopped everything right here.
Okay.
How is has there been further discussions?
Yes, sir. A lot more. In fact, the Secretary of Commerce will be here for the state of Kansas, not the federal secretary, on the 14th.
Be here.
in July.
Yes.
We want to do executive session before we get.
Well, he left.
Well, we got to talking, so.
Yeah.
You made him nervous
just
with
left.
that.
Well, I knew Bobby was supposed to be bringing some stuff back to us, so before we went to executive session, made Bobby wait, so.
Well, I'm done. I can go grab them for you if you want me to.
Yeah, tell him we're ready.
Yes, sir.
Notice there's two of those letters.
Different dates.
Oh, different
They're a
dates.
week
okay.
apart.
Different dates.
Letter comes out once a week. There is 2 of them for the night, but they're different subjects.
Good Kipper. sorry, Wade.
No, that's fine.
Does that go with, yeah, that doesn't go with that, that's separate from,
You said 10
from
minutes.
that.
Yep, 10 minutes, myself, the board, attorney, client, to discuss, county, policy regarding, payment of vouchers.
That's so low, Mr. Chairman.
Go on.
15.
10 minutes?
He wants 15.
50, yeah.
Feel like an auctioneer.
Well, I'm just.
15, 20.
You've never done it in 15, you've never
quick.
done it in 10.
No.
You moved on that?
Don moved.
I'll second.
Tim second. Any discussion?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll enter at, 12:15. For 15 minutes. Yeah, we're in.
That's a separate deal, I said.
Where'd that resolution go?
Pardon?
Where'd that resolution go?
We've already signed
They took it and filed
They
it.
took it on and filed it.
Okay. We're gonna have to we'll have to have them sign,
Yeah.
Arvonia Township sign it.
I probably shouldn't.
I wonder if they can put it, I'll go see if they can put it in one of these little folders or something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get destroyed.
Well, they'd probably have their county.
Everybody went, you know what happened to resolution that was just right? Yes, Casey was.
Yes, go ahead. Not signed.
I'll take her stuff out. See, I didn't find you a seat for a while.
So Brad, how you doing?
Well, people been watching the news. The voter desk has gotten all busy this morning.
People don't watch the news.
It's about time for it to get busy like that, and it is. I have to come in here and look at something that's not my computer.
phone line.
Let's see.
Second quarter.
Thanks, what the monitor is.
Do you have anything for me, Jackie?
Is Terry want this check?
Could you make me a couple copies of that, please?
Yes,
That will. Just one copy, Angie's all I need, thanks.
I don't have anything for round table either, so.
You don't have any round table duties? You got the other? The
The
original?
original, yeah, I kept it.
Well, I'm gonna need it for signature.
Oh, you need it, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll take both of these, I'll
Gotcha.
have them keep the copy
Okay.
signed, and I'll bring back the original signature.
Yeah, I was wondering how we were gonna do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bobby was talking about Burlington being able to supply water at the airport.
Mhm.
That's on Rule 3 out there. That's not Burlington. So, that
Wouldn't affect Burlington Water any?
well, they might get it from 3, but they also get some of their water from Melbourne. They could go either way with it. One good thing about it, they could go either way.
Go either way, and have plenty of supply.
And I'm not real sure which feeds that one out there for sure. But it's, I don't imagine that the, water district would wanna give it up.
Peek in here and see what maybe Larry's bringing us some pictures, somebody sees it. Did we ever get a report on when they moved Neustron's jail meeting? I know it was gonna be on the 14th, but I got moved date. Wasn't that moved date on Waverly? Wasn't it Waverly's?
Not the 14th.
Well, I've got moved date.
Waverly's was the 16th.
Burlington was 17th.
Neutron is July the 14th.
July the 14th. Well, I've got moved date. No, this is June, sorry. No, this is July.
The one I thought was Waverly moving.
had it
A week ago,
last
when
week.
Waverly's on the city council meeting, they talked about moving, but didn't.
And this was too, wasn't it? Wasn't this on city council
Yeah,
night?
it was. Neustron's was.
Mhm.
Neustron's is too.
Yeah.
I haven't heard nothing on it. I still got it listed the same day.
This Thursday's Lebo's.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
city's website or?
The one where everybody heard a week ago was the most positive one so far.
Figure it out.
I was in El Dorado last week, and he asked for 414. Don't have very much, didn't have much transportation on it down there.
Mm-mm. Is Russia still blowing up Ukraine?
Off on.
Off and on?
And we're still sending money over.
Still sending money that's not gotten there?
Well, I saw
Oh, you sent them $1 billion last week, another one.
Some package, gosh darn it, I just thought that we're gonna pay several $1 billion for solar power in some other country.
Oh.
Like Scandinavia or something like that, it was like several billion.
I'm not sure what all those
For solar power in Scandinavia.
Did you see the list? Where is Biden at? Over the G7.
You know?
And,
He's
the
there.
checkbook's wide open.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, they're gonna,
I gotta look that up again. I mean, but I forgot the name here all at once, but it wasn't Scandinavia, it was like some other country, it was billions.
well, here it's talking about, it doesn't say what country it is, but it says in the delay or cancellation of hundreds of utility scale solar projects in the United States because of that. I sure hope the people who voted that way are all happy now. Surely it gotta be affecting them too.
I hope. Maybe old Joe's got their mailing address and sending them money every week.
Certain people got their college loans forgave too.
No trade school though.
No.
Look forward to Congress to okay a bill protecting pregnant women's workplaces rights sometime later this year. Legislation requires private employees with 15 or more, but to provide certain accommodations, extra bathroom breaks, limit on lifting, appropriate seating, et cetera, We have people riding in the streets now because Supreme Court decisions.
Yeah.
I tell you, this whole country, they ride about everything, don't they? Anything,
For some reason, we wanna reinvent the wheel and rewrite history.
where do, these people that ride all the time work?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
We use the court to make laws, that's what happens.
Congress is close to passing its biggest gun control measure in 3 decades.
Mm-hmm. 12 voted.
Well, I think if they make it 21, I think they need to raise the military age, and I think they need to raise the age of voting.
Yep.
To 21.
Probably not a chance of that happening.
That's not right. I mean, I got to serve our country, but I couldn't drink.
Mm-hmm, I know.
Couldn't.
You could smoke.
And I could not vote. I couldn't vote.
You couldn't vote
No,
then?
nope. I couldn't vote either.
You went in at 17?
No.
No?
Turned 21 while I was there.
Then you made up for lost time, right?
Well, I voted. I did get to vote.
You have the right to be silent.
For the first time, I did get to vote absentee.
You may not have to go.
There were a lot of them that were 18 years old there that were there and back before they could ever had the right to vote or drink or anything.
Oh, they want to rewrite history, let's just rewrite it. Oh, I forgot, it only goes one way.
I was reading an article I read about Audie Murphy in his military service. He went in underage, highest decorated military person in World War II.
Really?
Right. Watched a lot of his Western movies over the weekend.
Yep.
For about the 5th or 6th time.
This was Audie Murphy weekend on Inspiration TV, I think it was, or Grit, one or two.
Yeah, on INSP.
INSP, yeah, yeah, I watched.
That's the 5th or 6th time on most of them.
I watched all of his movies.
I didn't realize he was that decorated until probably been a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
Was it on Grit?
But you know, he died broke.
Pardon?
He died broke. That's it, basically.
Sad.
A lot of them do. He wasn't very old when he died, if I remember right.
No, he wasn't.
I don't remember the exact age, but he wasn't.
Quite a list of accomplishments.
You going to the jail meeting, speaking.
I'm gonna definitely try. That's,
Well, I've been to the first 3.
I looked at my dispatch this morning and I think I think I have to unload. I gotta go to Kirksville, I think it's Thursday. I should be able to make it back by time. Too many irons in the fire.
It's kind of where I'm at.
So is New Strong?
14.
This says July 28th.
So they did move
You
it.
found it?
Oh, no, I don't know where I got that. Somebody was asking me, I was up getting my neck pulled on at the physical therapy.
They got a meeting, clear out to July 28th?
This shows Burlington, July 7th, then it was in bold, and I don't know if that's off their city website. I just screenshotted it and sent it. Somebody had asked me.
Well, you know, the 14th was
when I
the
was in the
original.
waiting room, that was just.
The 14th was the original date, because that's the same night as the city council meeting. So
They
maybe,
moved it just 1 week.
so maybe they have moved it, because the 14th is the, same night as the council meeting.
I wouldn't think they'd move it that close to the August 2nd primary, because a lot of people's already voted. When's the first date to vote here in Coffee County?
On the 13th of July.
13th of July is a set date. I know it's 20 days prior to the primary, but it can change county by county, as I understand it.
Well, the
Coffee County-
advanced mail ballots, for the ones that have already applied by then, will go out on the 13th.
On 13th.
And we're allowed to start on the 13th with advance in-person
And
voting.
walk in here.
And always want to try to do that. Sometimes the computers won't let you, but they always have so far. We've gotten through that. And
So you're saying July 28th is New Strong?
well, that's what that screenshot says, but I can't tell you for sure that I know where I got it.
I wouldn't think they'd wait till the 28th.
It was off of the city of New Strong or New Strong Improvement or something. I was just sitting there in the waiting room and a lady asked me what it was and I didn't know, so I just kinda Googled it.
They a lot of it.
Googled it on my phone and that's what that showed. It just,
Be a lot of people vote prior to that date. I think they'd want to do that quicker.
you see, yeah, that's on newstrong.org. Jail project discussion, it says. Several dates and locations, and I don't know if that's the final thing or not, but that's where it is. It's on newstrong.org. Jail project discussion, posted on May 19th, so, by the city clerk it says. I don't know if that's the last one or not. I may have handed out bad information, but.
As far as I know, it's the last date.
Tim's done.
All done? Round table? You got anything at all, Brad?
Angie said she didn't. The only thing that I would, Wilma Hess came in this morning, Dawn had asked about the Teach Out Cemetery Board, and they've had a meeting with their remaining board members, and they've got a list together of people who have all agreed to serve on that board, and I'll try to get a resolution in that list, and it said Bob's district, I guess.
Is that the one that Randy Rogers was talking about?
No.
No.
This one is just north and east of the Gridley Lake. It's just that
Oh, okay.
several of the members have passed away recently.
There's been a couple.
One of them wants to get off of there just because she's tired of doing it, and they got some members of the various families around the area there that have agreed to do it, and
Brad's been working on that 3 or 4 weeks, trying to get some things resolved, and so
Very well.
we still haven't heard anything on the cemetery there. What used to be permanent poultry, I don't know what's been resolved on it right now.
I think it's still in stalemate right now.
Wasn't that the Neo Show cemetery that?
I don't know. I don't know the exact name of that to start with.
It seemed like to
Probably
me
started
that's
out to be
where
a family,
Randy-
probably started out to be a family cemetery, but it's expanded sometime 100 years ago, expanded beyond that. I haven't talked to Randy on that for some time.
Tim, you got any goodies for round table?
No, I don't.
Colin?
don't, other than we won't meet Monday, we'll meet Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Why?
Cause it's July
4th, July 4th, Monday.
July 4th.
Bob, you got anything?
Well, good thing I was here today to find out
You've
when I have
been
to be
here
here
next Monday.
week.
Well, you still gotta be here next week, it's just Tuesday
Next
instead of
Monday,
Monday.
You just thought about it Sunday.
Got my probably reminded me of.
Fireworks. Dawn, you got any goodies?
I don't know what's good is not, a couple things, I know Tom is going to be, I understand, gonna be sending out a lot of notices by mail and maybe on Facebook. And I was gonna talk to Tom and overlook getting it done. If he sends out a mailing to all of our citizens about the jail project, should that be over his signature, county commissioner's signature? Ad hoc committee, I think, brought a lot of value to this project. Should that letter, it'll have a lot of details on it, have a lot of facts in it. And like I said, I meant to talk to Tom last week and missed him and did make a phone call. How quick he's gonna be sending that notice out and whose signature should that really be over? Should it be over all three?
Well, they probably already got it drawn up. I'd say Sydney's probably already got all that mailer stuff already drawn up.
Yeah, it's still 5 weeks away.
I'd ask Wade, but I'm not sure that the commission can,
Send something out.
send stuff like that promote that. We can send information, but we can't, I don't think we can
I don't know.
promote,
I don't know whether you put our signature on it or not.
promote it.
Let me talk to Tom and I'll get back next Tuesday.
Probably Wade would probably need to be brought in on that.
And I meant to get that kind of clarified last week and just didn't get it done. On the road and bridge, did we get any more applications in and at what?
She said we hadn't gotten any
And at
more
what point do we
applications.
need to?
But I did find out it's publicized for July. It's still gonna be publicized in that magazine in July.
Okay.
In the month of July? Okay.
And I'm not in any big hurry to fill it. I think we could just put an interim in.
I'm not necessarily in a big hurry, Bob, but I think we need to
We owe
show
the
some
applicants-
respect for 5 applicants that we've already got. And
Didn't
for-
we say that we would start the process on the 18th? I thought we did.
I think we did talk about
Then we
something.
look at it.
Yeah.
I didn't make any notes on the
Then we look
18th.
at it.
We visit that.
That it's continued to be advertised through July.
Maybe start having interviews or whatever. Set it up for the 26th, set it up, the interviews up for the 25th, or, I think we was gonna have to have 2 days. I think we were talking about
25th and the 27th.
25th and the 27th, do 3 and 3 or something.
Yeah.
Good.
checks and vouchers on the 27th.
Yeah, that's why we'd do three and three for, so what we have right now.
Right now, we just got 5.
We've got 5, so if another one come in, it'd be 3 on one day and 3 the next. So I don't wanna go a week in between interviews, cause that, you lose mental.
I have nothing now.
Only thing I have is we've got our meeting at Lebo this week. 30, at the library at 7 o'clock, I think it is.
6:30.
6:30?
They all start at 6:30, and he's normally, the other 3's been done by about 8:30.
So I encourage everybody, citizens, show up for that. That's all I have. I think I will get this to the, Arvada Township Board for signatures. I think that's all I have. Nobody else has anything else? We will adjourn we'll adjourn and see everybody July 5th. Have a safe 4th.
At 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. We'll adjourn at 1 o'clock.
Don, did you happen to watch
Cowboys on Grit?
No.
The